Chapter 210. Sky Immortal, Golden Immortal, Mystic Immortal. Qin Yu engraved it in his heart. Immortals are divided into 3 levels, but there are 9 levels. I reckon the gap between each level is several times bigger. Immortal emperors at level 6 or 7 should be able to kill a level 1 mystic immortal in seconds. If Qin Yu's thoughts were known by the mystic immortals of the immortal world, he would definitely be laughed at by others. Although it's difficult to step into Golden Immortal from Sky Immortal, there are still many who succeed. However, to step into Mystic Immortal from Golden Immortal, not only does it require the improvement of one's power, it also requires comprehension. Only through the transformation of one's heart and comprehension can one break through the barrier between Golden Immortal and Mystic Immortal. This barrier is easy to say, but in the entire immortal world, who knows how many level 9 Golden Immortals have been stuck at the last step, unable to break through for millions of years. Any Mystic Immortal has a revered status. Unless it's a special situation, immortal emperors rarely fight. After all, there are very few immortal emperors, and immortals also have to fight against demon and demon world experts. Every Mystic Immortal can't be easily killed. Everyone, you also know that there's a gap between immortal emperors. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words naturally contain the domineering aura of an immortal emperor. Mystic Immortals are divided into 9 levels. The last 7, 8, and 9 Mystic Immortals are the true top experts of the immortal world. And I, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, am a level 8 Mystic Immortal. Level 8 Mystic Immortal. What level is that? Only level 8 Mystic Immortal. Qin Yu thinks to himself. So arrogant, I thought you were a level 9 Mystic Immortal. What happened just now? An Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's arrogance completely intimidated Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Only level 8. In the Mystic Immortal realm, every level is very difficult. No matter if it's Demon Emperor level experts, Demon Emperor level experts, or Immortal Emperor level experts, there are only a few who can defeat me. Hey juniors, don't think that level 8 Mystic Immortal isn't the peak. You have to know that once you reach level 9, you have to prepare for the divine tribulation. Failure means death, success means ascension. Level 8 Mystic Immortal is the safest, most stable, and most powerful expert. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang explains carefully. A level 9 Mystic Immortal had to prepare for the divine tribulation. A level 8 Mystic Immortal was almost at the peak. Moreover, if a level 8 Mystic Immortal had some advantages in weapons and cultivation methods, he might be able to fight a level 9 Mystic Immortal. The immortal mansion of a level 8 Mystic Immortal. If the elders knew about it, they would definitely regret it to death. Yen Lanshan says with hatred. He thought that it would be amazing if an immortal mansion left behind by a Golden Immortal was left behind by a Golden Immortal, but who would have thought that it was left behind by a Mystic Immortal of the highest level, and a level 8 Mystic Immortal, which could be considered the highest level of Mystic Immortals. Level 8 Mystic Immortals. What kind of existence were they? One could probably count them with one hand. Dame Yen Ji, Reverend Shui Ro, Reverend Yu Yen, Hua Kan, the experts of the Dragon Clan and the others all admire Immortal Emperor Ni Yang from the bottom of their hearts. Even if the immortal mansion left behind by such an expert is completely made of elemental holy ore, it can still be considered normal. Presumably, you already know some basic information about me. Very well. Now I'll give you a detailed introduction about the treasures of this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. It's up to you whether you can get it or not. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice resounded through the heavens and the earth. It's finally here. Qin Yu's eyes brighten. Dame Yen Ji's eyes also radiate blazing light. A treasure left behind by a level 8 Mystic Immortal is more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. I'll have to get it even if I have to risk my life. This time, the power of those who entered the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion is not too high. I still have a chance. As long as there's a slight chance, I'll have to risk my life. Big brother, I'll definitely get this treasure. Hua Kan is also determined in his heart. Each of the experts has the determination to seize the treasure. The path of Ziotianist practice is not only about practicing but also about fighting for the treasures of heaven and earth. Fighting for treasures depends on one's own ability. When the time comes, each of the 8 immortals will show his or her magical power. Those who win will naturally be happy, but those who lose will have to practice even harder for the next opportunity. In order to protect the interests of those who will get the treasure in the future, I'll just say a little bit. This treasure is an immortal weapon, a unique immortal weapon in the treasure-storing pavilion of the inner palace of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Alright, that's all. The excited expression on Qin Yu's face stiffens. That's all. An immortal weapon. A unique immortal weapon in the treasure-storing pavilion of the inner palace of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. That's all. Not only Qin Yu, but also the faces of Dame Yanji, Old Taoist Gonsu and the other loose immortals and loose devils are full of astonishment. They all thought this immortal Emperor An Yang would explain in detail what this treasure is and what its uses are. This is really enough to protect the interests of those who will get it in the future. It's as good as not saying anything. I only know that this is an immortal weapon and that it's in the treasure-storing pavilion. Qin Yu smiles to himself, but he remembers what immortal Emperor An Yang said. A unique immortal weapon. Since it's a unique immortal weapon in the treasure-storing pavilion, and given this immortal Emperor An Yang's character, he definitely won't put it in an obvious place. It should be in an inconspicuous place. There is a faint smile on the corners of Qin Yu's mouth. He has the experience of getting elemental holy essence. Times. Haha. Everybody, did you get the Qingyu Immortal Mansion very easily? Immortal Emperor An Yang's voice continues to reverberate in the sky. Easy to get. Bullshit. Hua Kan curses angrily in his mind. His own big brother was killed, but he did not even get a glimpse of it. Dame Yanji, Old Taoist Gonsu, the 3 experts of the Dragon Clan and the others are all furious in their hearts. Easy to get. They have risked their lives and schemed against each other, but in the end they were still tricked by this immortal Emperor An Yang. Who knows whether or not someone has gotten that so-called elemental holy essence? The more precious an object is, the more difficult it is to get it. You probably already know how difficult it is to get the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Since this treasure is more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, naturally the difficulty of getting that treasure of mine just now is also more than 10 times higher. More than 10 times. If it's really so difficult, perhaps this time a lot of people will die. Qin Yu is also secretly shocked. He was lucky enough to obtain the elemental holy essence because of Li Er's help. Now he is alone on this strange long path without anybody's help. End of B1C3. Not only Qin Yu, almost everybody is cursing. 10 times, now my power is less than half. If it's 10 times harder, perhaps I'll have to give up my life here. Dame Yanji also feels that something is wrong. Danger is directly proportional to reward. You want to get that kind of treasure without experiencing danger or a life or death crisis. Are you juniors dreaming? Immortal Emperor An Yang says coldly. Everybody can feel the disdain contained in his voice. If you want to get that treasure, you have to risk your little life. Now that you've entered the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, you can't leave unscathed without experiencing any danger. Now that you've come here, there's no place for you. Now you have 2 paths. One is to go to your left, which leads to the Peach Blossom Land. The Peach Blossom Land. Qin Yu, Dame Yanji, Yenemo Li Er, Hua Kan, Old Taoist Gonsu, Yen Lang, Reverend Shui Ro. All the experts are listening carefully. Now any word Immortal Emperor An Yang says concerns their little lives. The left path leads to the Peach Blossom Land. The Peach Blossom Land not only has abundant holy energy, it also has extremely dense elemental holy energy. If you choose to enter the Peach Blossom Land, you'll be trapped there forever until you ascend. In the Peach Blossom Land you can practice at ease. Except for the heavenly tribulation, there won't be any other tribulations. Moreover, both the holy energy and elemental holy energy there are much denser than in the mortal world and the immortal world. It can be said that the treasured place for practice there only restricts your freedom. You can only stay in the Peach Blossom Land. Immortal Emperor and I Young persuades. I advise you to stay in the Peach Blossom Land. At least you'll be able to keep your little lives. Everybody is silent. The second path is to go to your right along the path. That path leads to the road to the underworld, which is full of deadly dangers. The road to the underworld. Hearing this name, Qin Yu cannot help being slightly shaken in his heart. Just by hearing this name, he knows that this path is definitely extremely dangerous. Even though he has obtained the Ganming Yuanying, it will take him a very long time to absorb the Yuanying. Now he does not have the time. In terms of power, perhaps he is the weakest among those loose immortals and loose devils. Not to mention those loose immortals and loose devils, even Yenimo Ida and the others are stronger than him. The road to the underworld is so dangerous. Being the weakest, he will definitely have a higher mortality rate. Humph, the road to the underworld. Dame Yen Ji laughs coldly in her heart. In terms of power, I'm the strongest here. If I die and can't pass through this road to the underworld, how many people will be able to pass through it? Hiding in the Peach Blossom Land. I naturally have to seize the chance to get such a treasure. Immortal Emperor and Ayong continues to speak. You can only go to both sides of this narrow, winding path. No matter what, you can't step into those boundless clouds and mist. Anyone who steps into those clouds and mist will definitely die. Even if you're a 12th tribulation loose immortal, you won't be able to survive. Immortal Emperor and Ayong says very firmly. Looking at the boundless clouds and mist on both sides of the narrow winding path, Qin Yu is secretly alarmed. Nobody doubts Immortal Emperor and Yang's words. A level 8 mystic immortal is many times more powerful than a golden immortal. Even though a 12th tribulation loose immortal is formidable, he is simply not worth mentioning in front of a level 8 mystic immortal. Since Immortal Emperor and Ayong has said so, it means that anyone who steps into the clouds and mist will definitely die. There's no danger on this narrow, winding path. Now you can go to the Peach Blossom Land to have a look or run to the road to the underworld to have a look. Not far from the left along the winding path, you'll see a stone tablet with the words Peach Blossom Land written on it. You'll reach the Peach Blossom Land after passing the stone tablet. Similarly, you'll see a stone tablet with the words Road to the Underworld written on it. Also, you can't go past the stone tablet. You can look at the dangers of the road to the underworld from the side of the stone tablet. It won't be too late for you to make your choice then. Immortal Emperor and Ayong also gives everybody a chance to look at two places. This narrow, winding path will only exist for 2 hours. After 2 hours it will disappear. Therefore, within 2 hours, you must choose whether you want to live peacefully in the Peach Blossom Land or step into the road to the underworld, which is full of dangers, to fight for treasures. Moreover, every one of you has your own narrow, winding path. Before it disappears, you won't be able to see anyone else. You'll only be able to see yourselves. Hearing these words, everybody immediately starts to run extremely fast. The narrow, winding path will exist for 2 hours. This is the time for everybody to make their choice. Since there's a chance to go to 2 places to have a look, Qin Yu naturally runs towards the Peach Blossom Land first to have a look. The golden power of the stars fuses with his body. Qin Yu's entire body turns into a beam of light and runs extremely fast towards the left. After the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Qin Yu sees a stone tablet with the words Peach Blossom Land written on it. After passing this stone tablet, there's a vast grassland. On the grassland, there's a mirror-like lake that's extremely clear. Beside the lake, there are numerous pavilions, towers, corridors, and all kinds of animals on the grassland. Where's Li Air? Everyone has their own narrow, winding path, but there should only be one Peach Blossom Land, right? Where's Li Air? Qin Yu ran here hoping to see Li Air. However, his wish seems to have come to nothing. Haha, don't have extravagant hopes. You won't be able to see anyone else for 2 hours. After 2 hours you'll be able to see other people. No matter if they're in the Peach Blossom Land or on the road to the underworld, quickly make your choice. Immortal Emperor and Ayong seems to have guessed everyone's reaction long ago. The voice in the sky resounds again. Turning around, he rushes towards the road to the underworld. Extreme speed. 2 hours can't be wasted. This time, Qin Yu spends almost twice the time before seeing a stone tablet at the side of the narrow winding path. The words "Road to the Underworld" are written on it. At this moment, Qin Yu already knows what the road to the underworld is. Heavens, this is certain death. Qin Yu is gobsmacked when he sees the road to the underworld. After this stone tablet, there is a wide river that looks like lava. The water in this river is similar to lava. Purple flames soar up from the river and dye the sky red. In the sky, there are also heavenly thunders striking down. Heavenly thunders and heavenly flames. One soars to the sky from below and one strikes down from above. There are even tens of thousands of them. Above this river, there is a half-meter wide, long bridge and small path. This small path is precisely the road to the underworld. One after another, heavenly flames rush towards that small path. Countless heavenly thunders strike at the side of this long bridge and small path. Juniors, don't think you can rely on speed to pass through it. When you set foot on the road to the underworld, you'll find it difficult to move, as if your body is being pressed down by a mountain. Don't think that the stronger your power is, the stronger the gravity will be. Everyone, no matter whether they are Jean Dan Stage or 12th Tribulation loose immortals, will move slowly on this bridge like a tortoise. These flames are heavenly flames, and the heavenly thunders are also extraordinarily powerful. Of course, I won't let everyone die. If 10 people enter the road to the underworld, perhaps only 9 will die. Haha, whether you want to enter the Peach Blossom Spring or take the road to the underworld, choose carefully. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's complacent voice resounds through the entire river of heavenly flames. That river is boiling unceasingly. Heavenly flames erupt unceasingly. The temperature is so high that it can melt people. However, no matter whether it is Dame Yen Ji, the 3 experts of the Dragon Clan, or Qin Yu, when they hear Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words and see the road to the underworld in front of them, their hearts turn ice cold. Chapter 211. The road to the Yellow Springs was filled with thunderbolts. The river of magma flowed, and countless strands of skyfire soared into the sky. Thunder and lightning crackled, blazing skyfire, and because of the extreme heat, a thick, blazing red cloud formed above the river. The road to the Yellow Springs, which was only a meter wide and connected the 2 sides of the river of magma, was a lonely road. Skyfire. Even celestial immortals don't dare to rashly touch skyfire. Qin Yu was terrified. The color of the flames changed from low to high. Qin Yu's stellar true flame was only a deep azure color, close to violet. Skyfire was violet, and its power was so great that even the fleshly body of a celestial immortal wouldn't dare to rashly block it. Thunder and lightning. Every single bolt of lightning was azure in color, and every single bolt of lightning was more powerful than the final bolt of lightning which Qin Yu had faced during his 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation. Qin Yu believed that as long as a single bolt of lightning struck his body, he would be dead. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang actually created such a huge spectacle. Can it be that he truly enjoys killing? Qin Yu's heart was filled with rage. Skyfire. Given my level of cultivation, if I were to be struck by it, my fleshly body would definitely be reduced to ash. Even the last bolt of lightning was so difficult to face. Judging from the color of the lightning, it should be even more terrifying than the final bolt of lightning. Qin Yu didn't know what to say at all. Qin Yu still remembered what Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had said. The Peach Blossom Spring was extremely safe, but once one entered, one would not be able to leave. Only when one ascended would one be able to leave. He wants me to live my entire life in the Peach Blossom Spring, overcome the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulation, and then ascend to the immortal realm. Is that even possible? Although Qin Yu was afraid of the dangers of the road to the Yellow Springs, when he thought of his family, his brothers, his royal father, his 2 elder brothers, the callous, constantly training bitterly, Xiao Hei, that carefree Ho Fei, and that beautiful figure in his heart, Could he give up on her? The road to the Yellow Springs. With a grave and stern look in his eyes, Qin Yu suddenly gave a self-deprecating laugh. Perhaps my power is at the bottom of the list of people who have to go through this road to the Yellow Springs. The only honor is Lu Xing's tears. Immediately after, Qin Yu walked past the Yellow Springs Road stele and sat cross-legged beside the riverbank. He was preparing to charge through the Yellow Springs Road. Of the 9 in 9 heavenly tribulations of the heavenly tribulation, blue heavenly tribulation. Of the moment, madam, of the heavenly tribulation of the heavenly tribulation spring. But she of heavenly of heaven of. She of the heavenly tribulations of the of heaven of heaven. Of the heaven. Of the of her of the of heaven of the of immortal of them. Of the had of reverend of it of her the. Of the end. Of her of heaven of immortal to the end was to use. As 3 to the end used by to the end. Of the to the end, of it of, s. A treasure more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Madame Yan Ji's eyes flash with a tinge of fierceness. No matter what, this is my only hope to become a top-level loose devil. Wealth comes from danger. If I become a low-level loose devil, I'll just die. Madame Yan Ji looks in the direction of the peach blossom spring and gives a cold laugh. Even if I stay in this peach blossom spring, each loose immortal heavenly tribulation will become more and more powerful. If I stay here all by myself, it'll be hard to say whether I'll be able to survive all the loose immortal heavenly tribulations and ascend. Instead of wasting my time here, I'd better go out and fight for that only chance to turn things around. Let's risk it all. Madame Yan Ji immediately sits down with legs crossed and starts to take pills to recover her power. Her injuries are really too severe. If her power recovers a bit, her chances of survival will increase a bit. Looking at that purple heavenly flame and various blue heavenly thunderbolts soaring into the sky, Yen Mo's pupils cannot help contracting slightly. Life, death. In the wilderness, he has wandered between life and death countless times. Course he is not afraid of death. If he were, how could he have betrayed the Dragon Clan and entered the wilderness to fight for his life without obeying the orders of the higher-ups of the Dragon Clan to live a life with a backer? Chance. Cold light flashes through Yen Mo's eyes. Without any hesitation, he walks straight past the stele of the road to the underworld, then sits down firmly with legs crossed on a safe riverbank. He stops moving. He calmly waits for the moment to break through the road to the underworld. Facing all this, everybody has their own choice. Especially after seeing the terrors of this road to the underworld, they are faced with the choice of life or death. Some people choose to enter the road to the underworld, while others choose to go to the peach blossom spring to live a quiet life. For example, the 3 late Dujia stage experts of the Dragon Clan. Ascension is the only chance to leave the peach blossom spring. However, the 3 experts of the Dragon Clan are all in the late Dujia stage and are only 1 step away from the Deshang stage to ascend. Therefore, they do not want to make unnecessary sacrifices. They only need to stay in the peach blossom spring for a period of time until they reach the Deshang stage and ascend. 2 hours have passed. Congratulations on choosing the road to the underworld. Haha. Immortal Emperor An Yang's voice rises between heaven and earth. Everyone who chose to step onto the road to the Yellow Springs opened their eyes. At this moment, the narrow path connecting the road to the Yellow Springs and the Peach Blossom Spring had already disappeared. Behind them, there was only an endless amount of dense clouds. At this moment they couldn't even regret it. Congratulations, Dame Yan Ji says with a cold laugh. This immortal Emperor An Yang's character really can't be judged by common sense. Qin Yu gives a helpless smile. Since he entered the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion until now, everybody knows about immortal Emperor An Yang's insidiousness. He even congratulates them for choosing the road to the underworld, which is full of ridicule and teasing. Just now I said that only 1 out of 10 people can survive on the road to the underworld. In fact, this is not absolute. Immortal Emperor An Yang now says gently, that's only a rough possibility. Maybe one or two more of you will survive. Of course, it's also possible that everybody will die. Immortal Emperor Anai Yang's voice does not sound concerned at all. Everybody's heart is shaken. Everybody will die. Qin Yu's eyes flash with fierceness. This immortal Emperor Anai Yang is playing with us. Even though this road to the underworld seems to be very dangerous and has no chance of survival, Immortal Emperor Anai Yang said at the beginning that only 1 out of 10 people can survive. Moreover, everybody thinks that Immortal Emperor Anai Yang wants at least one person to survive to get the treasure, so everybody is staking their hope. But now Immortal Emperor Anai Yang has said that there may be no hope at all. If you all die and nobody gets the real treasure of the 9 swords immortal mansion, those 9 jade swords of mine will fly out of the mansion again and scatter everywhere. I'll wait for future people to enter the mansion and get my treasure. When Immortal Emperor Anai Yang says to hear, there is a faint smile on his face. But Qin Yu, Dame Yanji, Yanmo, Old Taoist Gonsu, Huaken. None of them is smiling, but their hearts are ice cold. Stepping on the road to the underworld will probably lead to everybody's death. The winding, narrow path has already disappeared. It's useless to regret it. As the saying goes, once you enter the road to the underworld, your life and death are controlled by heaven. Juniors, good luck to you. Immortal Emperor Anai Yang laughs out loud complacently. Seems he is very happy because he has made fun of everybody. The faces of Qin Yu, Dame Yanji, Old Taoist Gonsu and the others all become unsightly. Everybody is on the riverbank and has not stepped on the road to the underworld. After all, the heavenly flame and the heavenly thunderbolts are a bit too dense. Once you enter the road to the underworld, your life and death are controlled by heaven. Qin Yu shakes his head, then takes a step onto the road to the underworld. There's already no way back. However, when Qin Yu takes a step onto the road to the underworld, Qin Yu feels as if his entire body is being pressed down by a large mountain. The gravity is so great that even with his tough body, he kneels down on the ground in an instant. The bones and tendons in his entire body make crackling sounds. His hands immediately support himself on the ground. The blue veins on his forehead bulge out. So heavy. At the moment Qin Yu does not even dare to breathe. He is afraid that if his breath weakens, his entire body will be pressed down. That Immortal Emperor Anai Yang didn't deceive us when he said that. Qin Yu recalls what Immortal Emperor Anai Yang said to him. Juniors, don't think you can pass through with speed. When you step on the road to the underworld, you'll find it difficult to move as if your body is being pressed down by a large mountain. Don't think that the more powerful you are, the greater the gravity will be. Everyone, no matter whether they're Jean Dan stage or 12th Tribulation loose immortals, will move slowly on this bridge like a tortoise. Move slowly like a tortoise. Now I really have to move like a tortoise. Qin Yu gives a forced smile in his mind. However, the golden stellar energy in his body has completely run through every part of his body. Only after the energy in his entire body bursts out does Qin Yu stand up with great difficulty. 1 step, 2 steps. His speed is extremely slow. Qin Yu's entire body starts to sweat, not only because the gravity is too great, but also because the heat in this place is too high. Below him is the river formed by the heavenly flame lava. Sometimes the heavenly flame rushes up. Whoosh! A purple flame rushes past in front of Qin Yu. That blazing energy makes Qin Yu's entire body have a kind of melting feeling. Heavenly flame. Such a powerful heavenly flame. This is too much. That Immortal Emperor Anai Yang simply wasn't completely fair. With my power, I reckon I can't even resist a single heavenly flame. A single heavenly flame is enough to turn me into ashes. Qin Yu is anxious in his heart. However, like a tortoise, he moves very slowly. Luckily, the heavenly flame's speed is not too fast. Qin Yu still has time to judge. However, the heavenly flame's speed is not fast. Qin Yu's speed is even slower. Even if he discovers that the heavenly flame is about to rush over, he also needs to have enough speed to dodge. Boom! A heavenly lightning strikes in front of Qin Yu. It almost strikes Qin Yu. Qin Yu only feels that his entire back is covered in cold sweat. However, that cold sweat is instantly evaporated by the terrifying temperature above the road to the underworld. This heavenly lightning reminds Qin Yu that not only is the heavenly flame terrifying, even the heavenly lightning can easily kill him. This heavenly flame lava river is not too wide. It is less than 100 meters. In other words, the road to the underworld that connects the two sides of the heavenly flame lava river is also less than 100 meters. It sounds very short, but in reality, it looks both narrow and long. Especially for Qin Yu and the others who can only move like a tortoise, this less than 100 meters is really too long. That's why Qin Yu is paying attention to the surrounding heavenly flame and heavenly lightning. When he is moving slowly with difficulty, he suddenly glimpses the road to the underworld in the distance. Because the heavenly flame lava river is extremely hot, there is a dense red cloud above it. The red cloud floats above the river and is about the same height as the road to the underworld. At that moment, the red cloud floats. Through the sparse red cloud, Qin Yu sees a similar road to the underworld in the distance. And Hua Kan is on that road to the underworld. Even though his strength is much higher than Qin Yu's, Hua Kan still moves slowly like a tortoise. Qin Yu's expression changed. He suddenly saw 3 heavenly flames soar into the sky and rush towards Hua Kan. Although Hua Kan noticed the 3 heavenly flames, the heavenly flames are not flying very fast. At that moment, Hua Kan can only move like a tortoise. The 3 heavenly flames intersected. If Hua Kan takes a step forward, he will die. If he takes a step back, he will also die. There is only an angry and unwilling roar. The heavenly flames burn Hua Kan's body. In just a moment, Hua Kan, who has always wanted to avenge his brother, is burned to ashes by the heavenly flames on the road to the underworld. Hua Kan is dead. Qin Yu's heart trembles. In terms of strength, Hua Kan is much stronger than me. However, in front of the heavenly flames, especially when the 3 heavenly flames rush up, Hua Kan is simply unable to dodge. After all, the gravity on his body is too great. He is almost unable to move. Just like that, he helplessly and unwillingly watches as he is burned to death. Just as Qin Yu is shocked by Hua Kan's death and paying attention to Hua Kan's death, the crisis of death has already enveloped him. 2 heavenly flames, almost parallel to each other, erupt from the heavenly flame magma and shoot diagonally towards the sky. It just so happens to rush towards Qin Yu's back. According to this route, even if Qin Yu takes a step back or a step forward, he will still be attacked by the heavenly flames. Hua Kan is dead. Be careful, be careful. The string in Qin Yu's heart is pulled even tighter. Be careful. He must be careful. No matter if it is the heavenly lightning or the heavenly flames, he must be careful. He must try his best to fight for that trace of hope. At that moment, the heavenly flames are shooting diagonally towards the sky. Even with Qin Yu's tortoise speed, he can't dodge in time. Suddenly, the sound of wind is heard. Qin Yu's complexion changes. Almost reflexively, Qin Yu gives up resisting the terrifying gravity. In an instant, Qin Yu's entire body is pressed down by the terrifying gravity to the limit. The speed at which he is pressed down is astonishing. It is as if his body is being hammered by a large iron hammer. Whoosh! The 2 heavenly flames fly by 3 or 4 inches above Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu opens his eyes wide and looks at the heavenly flames that almost took his life. Cold sweat seeps out from the tip of Qin Yu's nose, but it is instantly evaporated by the blazing heat. Having narrowly escaped death, luckily Qin Yu reacted quickly at the end. Even though this terrifying gravitational force restricted his movements, it saved him at that moment because the gravitational force was too great. Once Qin Yu gave up resisting, the speed at which he was pressed down on the ground was also astonishingly fast. Until now, I have only walked 7 or 8 meters. Lying on the Yellow Springs Road, Qin Yu raises his head with difficulty to resist the terrifying gravity. Looking at the road ahead, he feels that it is so far away. Just as Qin Yu clenches his teeth and gathers the strength in his body to stand up again, Qin Yu sees from the corner of his eyes that a heavenly lightning is striking towards him at a terrifying speed. When he is standing, he can rely on the terrifying gravity to lie down like lightning. But when he lies down, can he still dodge? Chapter 212. Like a sharp arrow, that thunderbolt directly strikes down. Qin Yu, who is subjected to a terrifying gravitational force, is simply unable to move to dodge. According to Qin Yu's estimation at that moment, this thunderbolt is probably striking towards Qin Yu's head. Bang! Feeling a vibration, Qin Yu stares at a place only 3 centimeters away from his head. That was close. I almost lost my life. Qin Yu is lying on his stomach on the road of hell. Just now, that thunderbolt unexpectedly struck between his head and his right arm. It is unknown what the road of hell is made of, but the thunderbolt almost did not damage it at all when it was struck. I almost forgot that the thunderbolts of this road of hell are not the thunderbolts of the heavenly tribulation. The thunderbolts of the heavenly tribulation strike towards the person undergoing the tribulation and cannot be dodged. However, the thunderbolts of this road of hell strike down aimlessly. Moreover, the range of their radiation is also not wide. Qin Yu immediately sees a chance of survival. The road of hell is made of a peculiar material. When a thunderbolt strikes down, it only leaves a slight mark on the road of hell like a knife. Moreover, this road of hell is not conductive. When the thunderbolts strike it, they do not travel around and harm the people on the road of hell. Moreover, the attack range of a thunderbolt is only several centimeters. However, even though the attack range is small, there are thunderbolts above and heavenly flames below. The most important thing is that there are too many of them. Moreover, the people walking on this road of hell will have to bear a terrifying gravitational force and move forward slowly like a turtle. It will also take a very long time to cross the road of hell. If they are struck by the thunderbolts or burned by the heavenly flames, they will definitely die. Cautiously, the energy and muscle power in their bodies burst forth to resist that frightening gravitational force. However, Qin Yu's attention is completely focused on the heavenly flames and thunderbolts around him. His ears are also carefully listening to the sounds, judging whether there is a heavenly flame coming from behind or not. Step by step, Qin Yu moves forward slowly and cautiously. Between life and death, under the attacks of the heavenly flames and thunderbolts, he moves forward slowly like a turtle. Not only is Qin Yu very cautious, at the moment the other people entering the road of hell are also very nervous. None of them dares to be distracted in the slightest. If there is one person among them who is the calmest on the road of hell, it would be Yenmo. Yenmo's face was cold and his eyes were shining. He was paying attention to everything around him. No matter what, I have to break through. A bloody light flashed in Yenmo's eyes. As a descendant of the dragon race, he naturally knew how powerful the dragon race was. However, he had betrayed the dragon race. He was arrogant and didn't want to be ordered around by others. Succeed or die trying. Although the heavenly fire is powerful and attacking from below, especially from behind, it is very dangerous. However, the heavenly fire's speed is not fast. If it was from behind, he could determine the location just from the sound alone. Although the heavenly lightning is fast and powerful, its attack range is extremely small. If you are careful, you won't be struck to death. Strangely, Yenmo's body was moving forward at a perfectly even speed. A bolt of heavenly lightning struck down. Yenmo, who had been moving slowly, suddenly blushed. The power in his body suddenly rose to its peak. He gathered all his strength in his right arm and swung it away. His body swayed naturally. There should be about a centimeter difference. It should be a safe distance. That bolt of heavenly thunder almost grazes Yenmo's waist. It is only about 1 centimeter away from his waist. Yenmo's calculation ability has reached a frightening level because he has often fought between life and death. Even though the gravity is so great that Yenmo is walking very slowly, it is not so great that everybody can't bear it. Since he can bear it, he can increase his strength a bit at the most important moment by risking his life. That tiny bit of energy can be used to save his life. The heavenly fire is a bit easier to dodge, but the heavenly lightning is a bit more difficult. Yen Mo's eyes are ice cold and without any fluctuation. He continues to move forward at a uniform speed. He is like a slowly moving viper. At a dangerous moment, he only needs to move a bit to avoid being hit in his vital parts. Yen Mo has unexpectedly crossed the distance of 20 m very safely. If this continues, Yen Mo is the one most likely to succeed. However, no good. Yen Mo's face changes color. There is a dense red cloud above the river of heavenly fire and the lava. Its height is about the same as the road to hell. However, at the moment, a large area of red cloud has unexpectedly floated to Yen Mo's location. This cloud covers the surroundings of his body. The visibility in the sky immediately drops. This cloud is too dense. I can't see the distant heavenly lightning at all. Even though I can see the heavenly lightning at close range, it'll be too late to dodge when I see it. Even at the moment, Yen Mo is still very calm. What can he do when the red cloud floats above his head? Blame heaven and earth. He'd better accept everything and think of a solution according to the current situation. I can only rely on my luck. Yen Mo watches the surroundings carefully. His eyes seem to penetrate the dense red cloud. Yen Mo moves forward cautiously like this. As time goes by, Yen Mo gradually walks out of the range of this red cloud. Various heavenly lightning strikes down. Several of them strike around Yen Mo's body. One of them even brushes past the corner of Yen Mo's eye. I finally come out. When Yen Mo walks out of the red cloud, he feels a bit relaxed. However, at this moment, out of the corner of his eye, he notices that there is unexpectedly another road to hell 100 m away on his right side. There is also a person on that road to hell. Azure Dragon Yen Lang. It's Yen Lang. He's also persisted this far. Yen Mo gives a faint smile. He focuses his attention on the heavenly lightning and heavenly fire around him. He has no extra energy to care about other people. A miserable cry is heard. Yen Mo's face changes color. He slightly looks to his right. Yen Lang, who was on the road to hell just now, has unexpectedly disappeared. That Yellow Springs road was actually all alone and empty. There wasn't a single person on it. Yen Lang is dead. Yen Mo's heart is shocked. He does not know what kind of feeling this is. In the past, even though he was nearly possessed by the devil in the hallucinatory magic land, he still got into action to help Azure Dragon. Who could have thought that Azure Dragon, who did not die because of Yen Mo's help, would now die on the road to hell? Yen Mo's eyes flash with coldness. His face seems to be covered with a layer of cold air. He keeps going forward. Heavenly fire on the left. Yen Mo's ears twitch. His body relaxes in the blink of an eye and he gives up resisting the gravity. In an instant, his entire body is pressed down by the gravity. However, a heavenly fire shoots over his body from the left side. When he stands up, he unexpectedly discovers that there is another road to hell on his left side in the distance. The person on that road to hell is none other than an old acquaintance, Old Taoist Gonsu. It seems that Old Taoist Gonsu has gone a bit further than Yen Mo because he has already covered half of the distance. However, at this moment 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings above Yen Mo unexpectedly shoot straight at him. Some of them shoot in front of him, some shoot behind him, and some shoot at his body. In short, at this moment, the group of heavenly lightnings has surrounded Yen Mo completely. It can be said that he is definitely going to die. It is not that several heavenly lightnings have never struck down at the same time, but several heavenly lightnings have struck at the only person on the road to hell. Moreover, they have surrounded him so cleverly. This is God's will to kill him. At the moment, Yen Mo's face changes color greatly. With a rumbling sound, 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings strike at that place directly. However, Yen Mo's figure is no longer there at the moment. It can only be seen that a black dragon over 100 m long has unexpectedly completely coiled around that road to hell. The dragon's body is extremely long and is twisting and turning like a rope. Naturally, some of the dragon's body is above the road to hell and some of the dragon's body is below it. However, Yen Mo's original position just happens to be below the road to hell, so the 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings only hit empty air. In the blink of an eye, the huge dragon body turns into a human body in the blink of an eye. Yen Mo, who is extremely calm, now has beads of sweat oozing out of his forehead. This is too dangerous. Even though he can rely on this move to dodge the heavenly lightnings after turning into a dragon, the dragon's body is very long, so naturally the area it will be attacked is also very large. Just now Yen Mo's calculation was too precise. He immediately turned into a dragon right before the heavenly lightnings were about to hit him, and turned back into a human body right after those 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings struck him. Moreover, the position where the dragon's body is coiled is also determined according to the surrounding heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames at that moment. Even so, because the dragon's body is too big, it is still very possible for him to be hit. However, in the face of death, Yen Mo risks everything. What he risks is a slim chance of survival. Just for a moment, Yen Mo turns into a dragon and then into a human body in the blink of an eye. That moment he succeeded. The position where he coiled just so happened to avoid danger. Moreover, because the time was too short, he was unexpectedly not hit by the heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames. This is not only because of his calculation ability and calmness, but also because of his luck. At the moment, Yen Mo is still calm and moves forward slowly step by step. Just now, the chance of the group of heavenly lightnings striking the only person on the road to hell is very low. It has already been extraordinary for it to happen once. For it to happen a second time is almost impossible. However, Yen Mo still does not dare to slack off in the slightest because slack is equivalent to committing suicide. Dame Yen Ji has suffered a big loss. Her original calculation was very perfect. Since there are so many heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames, the smaller her body is, the more advantageous it will be for her. She immediately changed into the appearance of a little child and prepared to charge into that dangerous road to hell. But she was wrong. Even though her disguise technique is pretty good, no matter what kind of expert she is, when she changes into another appearance, she is still most familiar with her own body. Only by using her own body can she exert the most power. After changing into a child's body, Dame Yen Ji can still exert 80% of her power. However, the gravity is naturally determined according to her power. Theoretically, Dame Yen Ji can only walk with great difficulty if she uses all her strength. Now that she has changed into a child's body, she can't even walk. Because she stopped after changing into a child, a heavenly thunderbolt struck her. A heavenly thunderbolt comparable to a 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. Luckily, Dame Yen Ji is not as powerful as Qin Yu and the others. She can't even bear a single strike. Unexpectedly, Dame Yen Ji withstood a heavenly thunderbolt and changed into her own body in the blink of an eye. Only in this way can she exert 100% of her power. To resist this gravity, not only does she have to use her own power, she also needs to exert her physical strength. This is because the gravity of this impasse set by immortal Emperor Ni Yang is determined according to the sum of one's power and physical strength. This is also the reason why Qin Yu, Yen Mo and the others have such tough bodies, but they still find it so difficult to move. After withstanding a heavenly thunderbolt, part of the power Dame Yen Ji recovered by taking holy pills on the bank of the heavenly fire lava river has been consumed again. Therefore, it has become even more difficult for her to move forward. She has had a very hard time walking all this way. But apart from the first time she made a mistake, she hasn't made any mistakes for almost half of the journey. Not making any mistakes doesn't mean Dame Yen Ji's path is simple. She has also encountered many dangers along the way. At the moment, Dame Yen Ji has only one arm. The reason why she has only one arm is because 3 or 4 heavenly flames attack her from all sides when she is about 20 to 30 m away. Even though she can dodge 1 or 2 heavenly flames, there are too many of them. At the beginning, Dame Yen Ji risked her life. In the end, she was still hit by a heavenly flame. Heavenly flames are very strange. Once they touch the body, they will burn all parts of the body and extend further. Even immortals and devils do not dare to resist heavenly flames easily. Now, even though Dame Yenji is a level 1 devil, she is seriously injured. She simply does not have the confidence to use her own power to resist heavenly flames. At that moment, she immediately cuts off her arm at the shoulder, abandoning the arm that has been hit by heavenly flames. The bodies of loose immortals and loose devils are formed by condensing energy, so it is very easy to cut them off. After cutting off her arm, Dame Yenji does not want to waste her energy to condense an arm. After all, power is very important at the moment. Moreover, she has lost an arm, so the area of attack is somewhat smaller. Various experts such as Yenmo Ida, Qin Yu, Dame Yenji, Huacan, Old Taoist Gonsu, Yen Lang, Li Er and the others have all entered the road to the underworld. They have all encountered their own dangers. Some have avoided them, but some have lost their lives. However, Qin Yu now sees a scene that stupefies him. While red clouds are floating, a road to the underworld faintly appears on Qin Yu's right in the distance. With just a glance, Qin Yu discovers that familiar silhouette. He is 100% sure that the person on that road to the underworld is none other than Li Er. But at the moment, several thunderbolts strike down directly from the sky. The place where they strike is none other than Li Er's location. Several thunderbolts strike Li Er. Qin Yu only feels that his head is empty. But now the dense red clouds are floating slowly, unexpectedly blocking Qin Yu's line of sight. No matter how hard Qin Yu tries, he cannot see that road to the underworld. But now Qin Yu is only 5 or 6 m away from the opposite shore. Is Li Er alive or dead? Right, she still has a protective magic treasure. Qin Yu is impatient in his heart, but he tries his best to comfort himself. My defense is not as good as Li Er's. If I am not dead, Li Er must be fine. However, at this moment, several heavenly flames come charging at him from the side. Because he was distracted by Li Er's matter, Qin Yu unexpectedly reacted slowly. These several heavenly flames are attacking very low, so even if he had crouched down, it would have been useless. If just now he had not been distracted and stopped moving forward slowly, these heavenly flames would not have been able to reach him at all. But at this moment, it is too late to say anything. At that moment, Qin Yu's eyes show a trace of viciousness. He suddenly howls and leans to the side, at the same time giving up resisting the gravity. This Yellow Springs road was very narrow to begin with. With Qin Yu leaning to the side and not being able to resist the gravity, Qin Yu's entire body immediately fell to the side. At the same time, he fell extremely fast toward the heavenly flame magma river below. Chapter 213. If someone were at the scene, they would discover that Qin Yu's entire body is falling extremely fast like a beam of light. The heavenly flames also fly past the road of death almost at the same time. However, in the blink of an eye, Qin Yu's entire body rushes diagonally towards the shore even faster than when he is falling. With a flash of black light, Qin Yu is standing on the shore of the river of heavenly flame lava. He is safe and sound. If he were immortal, perhaps he would not know what happened a moment ago. Perhaps Yenmo, Dame Yenji and the others would only see clearly what happened a moment ago when they arrived here. In fact, in the beginning, Qin Yu's body is falling extremely fast from one side of the road of death like a meteorite. At the same time, several heavenly flames brush past Qin Yu's location. Even though Qin Yu has escaped the attack of the heavenly flames, Qin Yu is still falling towards the river of heavenly flame lava. The river of heavenly flame lava is boiling. Various heavenly flames shoot up into the sky. Not to mention Qin Yu, even Dame Yenji will definitely die if she enters the river of heavenly flame lava. Qin Yu's body is falling down. His ice-cold eyes look at that boiling river of heavenly flame lava without the slightest bit of fear. All of a sudden, Qin Yu's extremely fast falling body stops. Qin Yu is holding a black rope with both hands. That rope is firmly coiled several times around one end of the road of death. That black rope can be seen shortening extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yu, who is holding one end of the rope, immediately reaches the shore of the road of death due to the rope shortening extremely fast. Due to the inertia of the rope shortening extremely fast, Qin Yu only needs to prop himself up with both hands to directly reach the shore. This is the process of Qin Yu's escape for his life. He has finally passed through the road of death successfully. However, at the moment, Qin Yu does not feel happy at all in his heart. He only feels worried. Li Er. Qin Yu clenched his fists. His heart filled with worry. Just as Qin Yu's heart was filled with worry and fear, the world suddenly turned upside down. Qin Yu had originally been on the other side of the river of heavenly fire lava, but at this moment, Qin Yu had abruptly disappeared from where he had been standing. By the time Qin Yu regained his senses, he had already woken up. This is... Qin Yu looked around. Just a moment ago, he was still at the side of the Yellow Springs Road, looking at the heavenly fire and heavenly thunder that covered the sky. But now, Qin Yu was on a grassland. A gentle breeze was blowing on the grassland, and it was very comfortable. However, how is this possible? Qin Yu was dumbfounded. No matter how calm and collected he was still shocked when he saw the person in front of him. He saw a black-robed man standing several tens of meters in front of Qin Yu. It was none other than Third Tribulation Loose Devil Huacan. Huacan should have died. I saw it with my own eyes. On the road of death, I saw with my own eyes that he was burned into ashes by the heavenly fire. How could he? Qin Yu's face was filled with disbelief. At the same time he felt confused. At the moment, Huacan also seemed to have seen Qin Yu. At the same time, an expression as if he had seen a ghost appears on his face. Qin Yu, it's you. Aren't you dead? I'm dead. Qin Yu's face was filled with astonishment. I saw with my own eyes that you were killed by the heavenly thunder. How could you? Huacan was also confused. Yan Lang, how could you still be alive? Yan Mo's voice rose not far away. Of course I'm alive. Why are you asking this? Yan Lang's doubtful voice rose. Dame Yan Ji Yu. I saw with my own eyes that you fell into the river of heavenly fire lava. How could you still be alive? Silhouettes appeared on the prairie one after another. Big brother Qin Yu. A pleasantly surprised voice rose. Qin Yu turned around to take a look. He saw Li Er, who was wearing a silver-white woman's armor and red boots, so excited that her face turned red. Her eyes were even red and swollen. She ran up to Qin Yu's side in only 2 or 3 steps, then directly hugged Qin Yu tightly. Feeling the body in his embrace, Qin Yu still felt a burst of dizziness at the moment. Obtaining something after losing it is the warmest feeling. Qin Yu could not help hugging Li Er's body even more tightly. Li Er raised her head and looked at Qin Yu with her red and swollen eyes. At the moment, wearing a suit of armor, Li Er had a rare heroic spirit. Big brother Qin Yu, when I saw the heavenly fire burn you, I thought. Li Er looked at Qin Yu with her beautiful eyes. Her eyes were full of fear as if she had seen the scene from that day again. She could not help crying. Qin Yu felt a burst of heartache. Unconsciously, Qin Yu lowered his head and gently kissed away the tears at the corners of Li Er's eyes. Don't cry. No matter what happens, I will be fine. I will not make you worry. Don't worry. Qin Yu lowered his head and stared into Li Er's eyes. He said softly but firmly. Li Er's face turned completely red. She immediately buried her head in Qin Yu's chest and did not dare to look at Qin Yu again. At this moment, Qin Yu was startled. Just now Only now does Qin Yu feel that his heartbeat is like the sound of a bell. Thump, thump, thump sounds are echoing in his ears. This kind of heartbeat feeling can only be felt when he ran with weights during extreme training as a child. However, when he saw Li Er in his bosom, Qin Yu smiled again. Then he couldn't help but hug Li Er even tighter. What the hell is going on? Chinyu, I saw you being burned to death by the heavenly fire with my own eyes. Moreover, you asked me for help in a loud voice. Believe. I'm absolutely not mistaken. Ida walked to Chinyu's side and looked at Chinyu with a face full of doubts. Lier seemed to wake up with a start. She suddenly got out of Chinyu's arms, but her face was still blushing. Chinyu cursed Ida in his heart. But after a while, Chinyu also began to wonder what had happened. Listening to what the others said, it seemed that they had all seen the others die. But now they all seemed to be alive and well. What the hell was going on? Could it be that all this was an illusion? Chinyu was puzzled, but he really found it hard to imagine that the illusion could be so real. Even the temperature of the heavenly fire and the aura of the heavenly fire lava could be clearly felt. 8 people appeared on the prairie. Chinyu, Yenamo, Lier, Ida, Dame Yenji, Huacan, Azure Dragon Yenlang and Old Taoist Gonsu. But Reverend Shui Rou, Reverend Yu Yen and the 3 great experts of the Dragon Clan are all gone. That immortal Emperor Enai Yang said that going into the road of Yellow Springs would have a 90% chance of survival. But why are so many of us alive and well now? This is really strange. Azure Dragon Yen Lang said doubtfully. A 90% chance of survival. There were only so many people in total, but 8 of them had come here alive. But at the moment, the atmosphere between Old Taoist Gonsu, Huacan and Dame Yenji is somewhat subtle. Old Taoist Gonsu, Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen are Hualan's murderers. Of course Hualan's younger brother Huacan hates these 3 people very much. But now Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen have not appeared so naturally. Huacan is targeting Old Taoist Gonsu. But because he is intimidated by Dame Yenji, he does not dare to risk his life to fight Old Taoist Gonsu. Once he does, perhaps he will not be able to fight Dame Yenji. Dame Yenji also feels helpless in her heart. She was already seriously injured in the Qingyu Immortal Mansion and was also attacked on the road of Yellow Springs. At the moment, her power is less than 1/3 of what it used to be. But even so, she is not someone whom Huacan and Old Taoist Gonsu can fight alone. Where did Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen go? Could it be they died on the road of Yellow Springs? Huacan says furiously. Those 2 adulterers died on the road of Yellow Springs before I even got my revenge on them. They were really lucky. No, perhaps they're in the Peach Blossom Spring. Old Taoist Gonsu says with a disdainful look at Huacan. What about my 3 uncles? Azure Dragon Yen Lang now feels doubtful in his heart. Could it be they really went to the Peach Blossom Spring? When he heard Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's explanation about the Peach Blossom Spring and the road to the underworld, Yen Lang immediately thought of his 3 uncles. In his opinion, his 3 uncles who have reached the late Dujia stage should go to the Peach Blossom Spring. But now that he has discovered that his 3 uncles are not there, Azure Dragon Yen Lang feels a bit worried. Without his 3 uncles, the power of the Dragon Clan is at the bottom of the list of survivors. Congratulations, you even had the guts to choose the road of Yellow Springs. Enai Yang Immortal Emperor's voice spread across the prairie. Suddenly, everyone stopped talking and listened carefully to Enai Yang Immortal Emperor's words. I know you're very curious as to why the people you saw die are now alive in front of you. There is a hint of ridicule in Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's words. Qin Yu and the others all listened to him. They already have guesses in their hearts, but they can only be sure after hearing Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's answer. Let me tell you, the road of Yellow Springs is the road of life. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang says evilly. Everybody's heart is shaken. Could it be that everyone who entered the road of Yellow Springs has survived? Yes, just as you thought, everyone who chose to enter the road of Yellow Springs has arrived here safely. The heavenly flame lava river looks formidable, but no matter if you were struck by the thunderbolts, fell into the lava river or passed through it safely, you'd all arrive at this prairie in the end without suffering any injuries. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang appears to be very proud. This Immortal Emperor Enai Yang actually tricked us again. At the beginning he said there was a 90% chance of death, and then he said there was a possibility that everyone would die, but now, at this moment, Huacan appears to be very angry. This is really too much. Everybody else is speechless. At the beginning, the road of Yellow Springs was exaggerated to be very dangerous, to say that if you're not careful, you'll lose your life. Moreover, as long as you step into the road of Yellow Springs, it means that you definitely won't die and will arrive at this prairie safely. Suddenly, Qin Yu's heart is moved. Since the people who chose the road of Yellow Springs are all alive, then what about the people who entered the Peach Blossom Spring? Is it really as Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said? There isn't any danger? The road of Yellow Springs is the road of life, but the Peach Blossom Spring is the land of death. Everyone who chose to enter the Peach Blossom Spring, after stepping into the Peach Blossom Spring, they'll discover that that is the real Yellow Springs, haha. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang laughs loudly. Everybody's heart is terrified. Deceiving, teasing, treating people's lives like child's play. This Immortal Emperor Ni Yang simply doesn't have any scruples, as if he's playing a game. The conditions he tells seem to be true, but in the end it turns out to be false, so it's really hard to tell whether they are true or false. My three uncles. Azure Dragon Yen Lang's face changes color greatly. If his three uncles had entered the Peach Blossom Spring and left after ascending, he would have felt at ease. However, now that he has heard Immortal Emperor Ni Yang say that everyone who entered the Peach Blossom Spring is dead, he cannot help feeling indignant and unwilling. Life is death, death is life. They don't even have the courage to face death and danger. On the contrary, they're willing to live peacefully. How can such people deserve my treasures? Living in this world is also a waste of heaven and earth's holy energy. Let them die. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang says disdainfully. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang obviously looks down on people who are afraid of death and danger the most. Stepping into the road of Yellow Springs means that these people have the courage to face death and danger. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang is satisfied with this kind of courage. Therefore they have all arrived at this prairie safely. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Qin Yu secretly lets out a sigh of relief. He doesn't know whether it was good or bad to call this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Big brother Qin Yu, this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang is really powerful, especially in formations and illusions. Li Er's face is still blushing. At the moment, however, Li Er thinks to herself, before coming here, what Uncle Lon told me seems to be right. At this moment, the 8 people present all think of the treasures. Everybody, congratulations on coming here. Now that you've come this far, I officially declare that you're already safe. Of course, it's none of my business if you kill each other. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice reverberates in the sky above the prairie. What you need to do is to divide the immortal treasures. Can Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words be believed? Some words must be believed and some words must not be believed. Only a fool would believe everything he said. This is the conclusion that everybody has reached after going through so much after entering the Immortal Mansion. Fly 8,000 li to the southeast from where you are. There is a jade pavilion there, which is none other than the treasure-storing tower of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. The most precious immortal treasures of the mansion are all in there. You can go there to fight for them now. How many you can get will depend on your own abilities. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang finally announces the location of those treasures. The treasure-storing tower of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion is 8,000 li to the southeast. At this moment, everybody engraves this information in their minds. There's absolutely no danger on this 8,000 li journey from here to the treasure-storing tower. You can fly without worry. I wish you good luck, ha. Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice finally disappears between heaven and earth. There's no danger on this 8,000 li journey. Can Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words be completely believed? The 8 people including Qin Yu, Li Er, Dame Yen Ji and old Taoist Gon Su look at each other, then immediately fly towards the southeast. Only the 8 of them are flying very slowly and very cautiously. Obviously they are not flying without worry, as Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said. Chapter 214. On the prairie, wherever the 8 of them fly, the grass is bent by the wind. At the moment, the 8 of them are flying very quietly, but in fact they are scheming. Azure Dragon Yen Lang has even started to communicate with Yen Mo through holy sense communication. Yen Mo, even though you disobeyed the Elder's orders in the past, my dragon clan has never regarded you as an outsider. You should know that the dragon clan is very united and won't abandon any of its members. Azure Dragon Yen Lang says via holy sense communication while flying. His 3 uncles have all died, so the dragon clan's power has decreased greatly among these 8 people. Now Yen Lang can only rope in Yen Mo. After all, in terms of power, middle Kongming stage Yen Mo is comparable to a late Dujia Xiaoxianist. 3rd Tribulation Loose Devils and 3rd Tribulation Loose Immortals are comparable to Deshang stage experts, but both Huacan and Old Taoist Gonsu have been seriously injured. Huacan is still alright, but Old Taoist Gonsu has been seriously injured. Perhaps he will not be much weaker than Yen Mo in a real fight. Yen Lang, what do you mean by saying all this? Yen Mo says coldly through holy sense communication. Yen Mo, you know how powerful the dragon clan is and how it protects its own. If any of its members is bullied, our entire dragon clan will go to take revenge. In those days you disobeyed the Elder's orders when you were still young, so they actually still regarded you as a member of the dragon clan. Yen Lang persuades. Yen Mo becomes silent. Even though the Elders haven't cared about you for so many years. But even though you're in the wilderness, why can you be the leader of the outer regions of the wilderness, and why don't those demonic beasts in the inner regions kill you? Yen Lang asks again. Those experts will not dare to kill even a dragon who has left the dragon clan at will. This is because the dragon clan is too protective of its own. Yen Mo himself knows very well that his success in the wilderness is partly due to his power. Partly, even though he can forget it, he must admit that his identity as a dragon has played a very big role. The dragon clan. Among the demon beasts, they were mainly divided into 3 major categories. Beasts, scaled beasts, and birds. The dragon race was almost synonymous with the scaled beasts. Although the scaled beasts had some relatively powerful clans, the other scaled beasts added together couldn't be compared to the dragon race. Moreover, the dragon race was united with the outside world. What do you want me to do? Yen Mo says softly. Having experienced so many years in the untainted land, Yen Mo is no longer the Yen Mo of the past. Now, he is already a feudal lord of a region. He is not as arrogant as he used to be. After all, being too rigid is easy to break. Yen Lang is delighted in his heart and says at once, Yen Mo, this time 3 uncles have already died. You also know that this immortal mansion belongs to immortal Emperor Ni Yong. It is said to be a treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Even those elders of my clan covet it. As long as we obtain that treasure this time and hand it over to the clan, our positions will definitely skyrocket. Back then, you were still young and disobeyed the orders of the elders. The elders definitely wouldn't care. Yen Lang, do you mean you want me to help those old men? Yen Mo is a bit angry. Azure Dragon Yen Lang says indifferently. Yen Mo, I've also spent such a long time alone in the Blue Dragon Temple, fighting against the Penglai Immortal Region and the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon. I can also imagine your days in the wilderness. Yen Mo, we're brothers of the Dragon Clan. Could it be you're really happy being alone outside? Being alone and happy? Yen Mo ponders for a while. No one knows what he is thinking in his mind. After a long time he says, all right, I'll join hands with you to snatch the treasure. I know Dame Yen Ji, Huacan and Old Taoist Gonsu are all seriously injured. In terms of power, I'm definitely a match for them now that I'm in perfect condition. But they all have low-grade immortal weapons. Huacan and Old Taoist Gonsu both have low-grade immortal weapons. Even though they are seriously injured, if Yen Mo were to fight them, his chances of victory would be slim. Don't worry about this. I have a low-grade immortal weapon here. Yen Lang suddenly says. To the Dragon Clan, it is not difficult to take out a low-grade immortal weapon. This time, Yan Lanshan, Yan Lanshu and the other two brothers were able to carry 3 illusion Dragon Balls, so it is not strange for Azure Dragon Yan Lang to carry a low-grade immortal weapon. After all, the Dragon clan is very rich. Aren't you worried that I won't give you your immortal weapon after taking it? Yan Mo asks in reply. Why should I be worried? Yan Lang does not care at all. Not only Yan Mo and Yan Lang, the others are also talking to each other through holy sense communication. On the 8,000 li journey to the treasure tower, they have formed an alliance among themselves. These 8 people had secretly formed an alliance. Everyone's flying speed was relatively slow because they were worried about any danger. But in the end, the facts tell them that their suspicions are wrong. The treacherous immortal Emperor An Yong has spoken the truth for once. There is really no danger at all on the way. In the middle of the endless prairie, there is a 2-story pavilion. This pavilion is made entirely of white jade, but the roof tiles are golden. In front of the door of this 2-story white jade pavilion, on the left side is a human sculpture made of black crystals. On the right side is a huge stone tablet that is as tall as that human sculpture. This human sculpture made of black crystals can be considered handsome, but the most conspicuous thing about it is its aura. That kind of aura of disdain for the whole world makes people involuntarily feel ashamed of their inferiority in front of it. When Qin Yu and the other 7 people take a look at the sculpture, they cannot help feeling oppressed in their hearts. They cannot help praising in their hearts that the sculptor is so skilled that the aura of the person he is carving is completely revealed. Even experts at the 3rd tribulation or 4th tribulation stage of loose immortals and loose devils feel oppressed. The way of carving is very close to the way of nature. At the same time, everyone shifted their gazes from the sculpture to the stone tablet. They recognize the familiar handwriting at first glance that it was left behind by immortal Emperor An Yong. Juniors, don't let your imagination run wild. This stone tablet is not a mansion-guarding stone tablet. Remember, go in through the gate. There are immortal treasures waiting for you on the 1st floor. After that, go up to the 2nd floor through the passage on the 1st floor. There are also immortal treasures left for you on the 2nd floor. What kind of immortal treasures you can get will depend entirely on your luck. Looking at the large characters on the stone tablet, everybody is delighted in their hearts. Looks like there are quite a few treasures here. Not only are there on the 1st floor but also on the 2nd floor. Looking at the gate of this white jade pavilion, some people even want to rush in directly. Luckily, nobody at the scene is an idiot. If they were the first to make a move, they would definitely be besieged by everybody else. Everybody, at that time Brother Ida made an agreement outside the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. But now more than half of the people have died, so naturally it's hard to keep the agreement. Therefore I suggest we discuss the issue of distribution carefully again here. Yan Lang says loudly. Yan Mo is also standing beside Yan Lang, holding a dark blue spear in his hand. As soon as they arrived at this white jade pavilion, Yan Mo received the low-grade immortal weapon Yan Lang gave him and dripped his blood on it to make it recognize him as its master. Distribution. Humph, why should we? Dame Yen Ji says with a cold humph. Little Azure Dragon, your 3 predecessors are all dead. Could it be your dragon clan still wants to fight over them? Even though she is seriously injured, nobody at the scene is a match for Dame Yen Ji in a one-on-one fight. Yan Lang says smilingly. My 3 uncles are dead, but when I was in the Qin Yu Immortal Mansion, I already sent a message to my dragon clan's elders using a secret method of my dragon clan. If you rely on force to snatch the treasures, you won't be able to take them away even if you leave the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Dame Yen Ji's face changes color. The faces of old Taoist Gon Su and the others also become slightly unsightly. If there are really experts of the Dragon Clan waiting for them outside the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, this matter will be really bad. Don't talk nonsense here. I've already tried. Transmitters are useless in this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Old Taoist Gon Su says coldly. This place can't send messages to the outside. How did you tell your elders about this? Gon Su, I didn't say I was going to use transmitters. Dame Yen Ji, given your knowledge, you should know that my dragon clan has secret treasures for communication, right? They're much more effective than transmitters. Yen Lang says very confidently. There are extremely many treasures in the dragon clan. Transmitters are only used by ordinary Xiationists and Zuyoists. The dragon clan still has some high-class communication treasures. Indeed, Dame Yen Ji feels somewhat helpless in her heart. In fact, Yen Lang is scared out of his wits. The dragon clan does have that kind of secret treasures for communication, but at that time it did not pay enough attention to this immortal mansion. It is already very extraordinary for it to let 3 late Dujia Azure dragons bring 3 illusion dragon balls here. How could it have thought that even transmitters cannot be used in this place? However, Yen Lang has successfully intimidated everybody. Yen Lang knows that he cannot go too far. My dragon clan doesn't ask for too much. We want 2 out of the 9. What do you think? Yen Lang says smilingly. In other words, if the number of immortal treasures is a multiple of 9, we'll divide them according to this way. If there are fewer than 9, we'll fight over them with our own abilities. Hearing that the dragon clan has only asked for this so far, Dame Yen Ji says at once, "All right, I agree. I don't want too much either. I want 3 out of the 9. Not too much, but 3 out of the 9. But Dame Yen Ji's power is obvious, so the others cannot say anything. Before Qin you can say anything, Li Er says smilingly. The Stellar Tower doesn't want too much either. I'll say it on behalf of my big brother Qin Yu. We want to. You want to. Why? Hua Kan says coldly. Old Taoist Gon Su's eyes also radiate coldness. The Dragon Clan and Dame Yen Ji already have 5 immortal treasures in total. If Qin Yu wants 2, how many more can Hua Kan and Old Taoist Gon Su get? Why? Li Er says smilingly. Because of the protective magic treasures on my body, you can't hurt me at all. But I can use this ice-devouring lightning talisman to kill either of you. Li Er takes out a sparkling purple talisman. The situation changes in an instant. Qin Yu also gives a smile. It turns out Uncle Lon has given Li Er a protective magic treasure, but it turns out she also has an offensive treasure. Dame Yen Ji, you should know the power of the ice-devouring lightning talisman. If you weren't injured at all, you could still barely resist it. But now, I think even if you can resist it, you'll be seriously injured. As for the others, they won't be able to resist it. Li Er looks at Dame Yen Ji and says. Dame Yen Ji does not know whether to laugh or cry. Little girl, I'm indeed convinced by that loose immortal senior of yours. Ice-devouring lightning talisman. If it were the ice-devouring lightning talisman, even if I was at my peak, I would probably be seriously injured and lose my offensive power. But now, Dame Yen Ji has heard about this ice-devouring lightning talisman. But to make this talisman, firstly, it is impossible to make it without the power of an 8th tribulation loose immortal. Secondly, the materials used are extremely precious, even more precious than a low-grade immortal weapon. Thirdly, the method of making it is not something that ordinary loose immortals can know. An ice-devouring lightning talisman has intimidated everybody. All right, I'll take one of the 9 portions. Old Taoist Gon Su concedes. Hua Kan also says helplessly. The last portion belongs to Ida and me. Even though he says so, in fact, if there were really 9 immortal weapons, how could he possibly give Ida the one that would be allocated to him? Only Ida is not dissatisfied at all at the moment. Very good, then let's go in. After saying, Dame Yen Ji takes the lead and walks towards the main gate of this tower. The others also walk towards the inside of the White Jade Tower. Qin Yu, however, looks at Li Er. What's the matter, Li Er? Qin Yu asks doubtfully. Big brother Qin Yu, you go in first. I still have something to do. You take this ice-devouring lightning talisman. Li Er gives a mysterious smile. Hearing Li Er say so, Qin Yu nods and receives it smilingly, then walks towards the main gate of the White Jade Tower. There may be dangers inside the tower, but how can there be dangers outside? Moreover, Li Er is protected by protective magic treasures. If Qin Yu takes this ice-devouring lightning talisman, It will be a threat to those loose immortals and loose devils. When Qin Yu reaches the entrance, which is the side of that sculpture, he suddenly notices something out of the corner of his eye. There is unexpectedly a ring on the index finger of the right hand of this black jade sculpture, which has both hands behind its back. Because the statue has its hands behind its back and is wearing a long robe, it simply cannot notice it unless it goes to where Qin Yu is. Moreover, that ring is of the same color as the statue, so it is hard to detect it. However, Qin Yu unexpectedly discovered it. This ring, could it be some kind of treasure? Qin Yu reaches out his hand and tries to take the ring off. Who could have thought that Qin Yu would be able to take it off so easily? However, Qin Yu does not find anything special about this ring after making a sweep with his holy sense. Even after Qin Yu puts it on his finger and drips his blood on it to claim ownership, he still does not find anything special about it. Obviously, this is only a decoration. I'm really paranoid. Qin Yu shakes his head with a smile, then goes straight to the first floor of the treasure storing pavilion. On the first floor, at the moment Dame Yanji and the others are looking at a small black necklace floating in the air. This necklace looks exactly like a dog necklace used by mortals. The only difference is that it radiates a very bizarre energy which is different from ordinary immortal elemental energy. Holy beast collars. It's surprisingly holy beast collars. Moreover, there are 18 of them. Dame Yanji cries out in surprise. The number is neither too many nor too few, exactly 18. Isn't this a multiple of 9? They're unexpectedly holy beast collars. Azure Dragon Yen Lang's eyes flash with coldness. At the moment, Dame Yanji is intimidated by everybody, so she does not dare to snatch the collars by force. She looks at Azure Dragon smilingly and says, "Everybody, these holy beast collars are used by some immortals to subdue demonic beasts. Once a demonic beast is injured and about to die, it will have to be controlled by the immortal if it is put on by the holy beast collars. Of course, the user of these holy beast collars is not necessarily an immortal. Of course, a loose devil like me can also use them. It's said that there are quite a few holy beast collars in the immortal world, but you can hardly find them in the mortal world." No wonder Azure Dragon Yen Lang is unhappy. These holy beast collars are used to capture demonic beasts and use them as mounts. Chapter 215. Book 10 Chapter 19 The Ink Wash Painting. There are quite a few holy beast collars in the immortal world, but in this mortal world, perhaps even 12th tribulation loose immortals do not have enough power to make them. Therefore, holy beast collars naturally become precious. If he gives these holy beast collars to those 8th or 10th tribulation loose immortals and loose devils, he will definitely have a whole new level of respect for them, not to mention anything else. Even if he does not give them to others, he will be extremely free and unfettered if he catches a demonic beast as a mount. Looks like Immortal Emperor An'ai left us quite a few treasures. Since these 18 holy beast collars are divided into 9 pairs, naturally we'll divide them according to the original agreement. I'll take 2 of the holy beast collars. Huakan says and is about to get into action. Dame Yanji gives him a cold look and says in an ice-cold voice, "Huakan, haste makes waste." As soon as Qin Yu sees these holy beast collars, the first thing that comes to his mind is, they can control demonic beasts. Dame Yanji, I still don't know much about these holy beast collars. How can they completely control demonic beasts? Qin Yu asks politely. Seeing that it is Qin Yu, Dame Yanji knows that the loose immortal behind this stellar tower is extraordinarily powerful. She immediately says smilingly, "The forging method of these holy beast collars is extremely special. They seem to be able to connect with the soul. Once a demonic beast is bound, it absolutely can't betray its master." Qin Yu is delighted in his heart. What he is most worried about is what will happen to his family members if he ascends and leaves one day or dies. Now that he has these holy beast collars, it will be fine. With these holy beast collars, Qin Yu will be able to catch a formidable demonic beast with all his might. With these holy beast collars, he will definitely be able to let this demonic beast protect his family members. Dame Yanji, Now we'd better divide these holy beast colors. Old Taoist Gonsu's eyes are somewhat blazing. As soon as he sees these holy beast colors, he becomes excited in his heart. He is only a third tribulation loose immortal, but these holy beast colors are treasures that even 12th tribulation loose immortals want very much to obtain. Dame Yen Ji looks at everybody and says at once, "Since that's the case, let's follow the original agreement. I'll take 3 of the 9 holy beast colors, which means 6 holy beast colors. Qin Yu and the others will take 2, which means 4 holy beast colors. The dragon clan will also take 4, Gonsu 2, Huacan and Yi 2. Am I right?" Everyone nodded. Dame Yen Ji immediately waves her hand and takes out 18 holy beast colors. Afterwards, she looks at Qin Yu first and says smilingly, "These are the 4 holy beast colors of your stellar tower." After saying so, she hands the 4 holy beast colors to Qin Yu in a very friendly manner. The first one she gave was to Qin Yu, indicating Dame Yen Ji's goodwill towards Qin Yu. In fact, Dame Yen Ji is like this not only because of the formidable individual immortal behind Qin Yu, but also because of another important reason. Qin Yu has ice-devouring lightning talismans. This was the only thing that could hurt her or even take her life. "Thank you, Dame Yen Ji." Qin Yu smilingly received the 4 spiritual beast colors. Qin Yu looked at the entrance of the treasure pavilion. Why hasn't Li Er arrived yet? "Yen Lang Yenmo, this belongs to your dragon clan." Dame Yen Ji then gave the 4 holy beast colors to them. As the representative, Yen Lang immediately reached out his hand to receive them. As soon as he received them, he gave 2 of them to Yen Mo on one side. Yen Mo, however, only took 1. "Yen Lang, this holy beast color is enough for me." "Huacan, this is for you and Ida." Dame Yen Ji took out 2 holy beast colors and gave 1 each to Huacan and Ida. "What do you want those holy beast colors for?" Huacan unexpectedly takes both holy beast colors with one hand. At the moment, Ida is awkwardly stretching out his hand. For the moment, he looks somewhat embarrassed. Even though Ida relies on Huacan, Huacan's intention is very obvious. He will not give any of the 2 holy beast colors to Ida. Ida takes his hand back. Seemingly not angry, he says smilingly instead, "Senior Huacan is a loose devil and I'm still weak. These holy beast colors won't be of much use to me. They'll be of great use in your hands, Senior." Only now does Huacan's face show a hint of satisfaction. He then gives old Taoist Gonsu's share to him. These 18 holy beast colors have been completely distributed. I remember that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang once said that there was a unique treasure in the treasure storing tower that was 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Even though these holy beast colors can also be considered precious, they're inferior to the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, let alone 10 times more valuable. Could that treasure be on the 2nd floor? Ida says thoughtfully. The faces of the other people at the scene all change color. When the holy beast colors were distributed, everybody was amiable and did not care too much about these holy beast colors. That is because everybody at the scene remembers that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang once said that there was a treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. After Ida's words, the atmosphere at the scene becomes tense. Since we've already distributed the holy beast colors on the 1st floor, let's go to the 2nd floor. The entrance to the 2nd floor is over there. Dame Yen Ji smilingly walks towards that staircase. Not caring whether the others will follow her or not, she is the first to go up the stairs. Old Taoist Gonsu, Huacan and the other experts hurriedly follow her. The holy beast colors are far inferior to the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, let alone compared to that treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Which of these experts would not fight over such a treasure to the death? Moreover, according to what Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said at that time, this treasure is unique. In other words, there is only one of it. Since it is the only one, naturally there is no need to distribute it. Instead, everybody will rely on their own abilities to fight for it. The staircase is made of milky white marble. Everybody goes up the stairs. Dame Yen Ji's heart trembles. She unexpectedly sees a person standing in the spacious hall on the second floor. This person is none other than Lear. Miss Lear, how did you enter the second floor? Just now I was on the first floor and didn't see anybody enter the second floor from the stairs. How did you enter the second floor? At the moment, Dame Yenji is most worried that Lear has obtained that treasure. At the moment, Qin Yu and the others also come up one by one. Seeing Dame Yenji's face full of killing intent and seeing Lear being questioned, Qin Yu cannot help getting angry in his heart. He immediately moves his body to the front of Lear and shouts at Dame Yenji. Dame Yenji, what are you doing? Qin Yu is furious, but his hand is still holding that ice-devouring lightning talisman. Dame Yenji's heart is raging with fury. She is the most powerful among the 8 people, so she is determined to obtain that treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Who could have thought that when she entered the second floor, she would discover that Lear had already entered? However, seeing the ice-devouring lightning talisman, she still restrains her anger with difficulty, saying, I want to ask you, how did this Lear enter the second floor? Dame Yenji, just now when we were outside the treasure storing tower, you all entered the first floor and I went straight to the second floor. Lear says as if it is a matter of course. Qin Yu is startled too. He looks back at Lear and says doubtfully, Lear, just now nobody went through the stairs. Moreover, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang Steel also said that you can enter the second floor from the passage on the first floor. How did you come in? I flew straight up. Lear says honestly, that's impossible. Just now I even observed carefully. This treasure storing tower has been set up with restrictive spells, so how can you come in at will? It's only safe to enter through the passage left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Now old Taoist Gon Su also says angrily. Do you really believe Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's words completely? Lear looks at everybody as if she is looking at a fool. Everybody is speechless as if they have choked on their food. What a good Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. We've been fooled again. Azure Dragon Yen Lang shakes his head smilingly and says with a sigh. The other people's hearts are also filled with resentment towards this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. He said that you can enter the second floor from the passage on the first floor, but do you really have to do that? Most of them have sensed that this treasure storing tower has been set up with restrictive spells, so they do not dare to barge in recklessly. Lear, however, flies straight to the second floor. Miss Lear, is there any treasure on this second floor? Have you found it? Dame Yenji takes a look at the second floor, then asks Lear in the end. On the first floor, those 18 holy beast collars appeared in front of everybody's eyes. But on this second floor, even though Dame Yenji only took a look, given her power, if that immortal treasure was not too hidden, she would have definitely found it. Dame Yenji. Qin Yu takes over and says while staring at Dame Yenji. What does it have to do with you whether my Lear has obtained it or not? There's only one treasure that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang mentioned. It basically doesn't need to be divided. It belongs to whoever has obtained it. Even if Lear has obtained it, why should she tell you? You. Dame Yenji is furious. But seeing the ice-devouring lightning talisman that Qin Yu is holding in his hand all the time, she forcibly swallows her anger. At the moment, Dame Yenji is not the only one on the second floor who covets that treasure. The other experts are also coveting that treasure. At this moment, they also want to know whether Lear has obtained that immortal treasure or not. Everybody, I swear to heaven that if I've obtained that so-called unique immortal treasure, I'll be struck by heavenly thunder and my soul will scatter. Lear, you. Qin Yu cannot help being shocked when he sees Lear making such a magnanimous vow. Lear winks at Qin Yu and says with a mischievous smile, if you don't have it, just say it. Even though I came to this second floor in advance, I really didn't find the immortal treasure on this floor. Looks like it's really hidden very well. The others all let out a sigh of relief. No longer having time to talk with Lear, the other 6 people immediately start to search carefully on the second floor. The layout of this second floor is similar to a relatively large study room. There are various portraits hanging on the walls and a huge bookcase leaning against the wall. At the same time, there is a desk in the middle of the room. There are even writing brushes, ink sticks, paper and inkstones on the desk. I dare say that this immortal Emperor Ni Yong must have lived in the mortal world for a period of time. Qin Yu takes the writing brush and says after taking a careful look at it. The appearance of this writing brush is a unique writing brush used by Qin Shi Huang when he was still alive. However, Qin Yu feels that this writing brush is very heavy when he holds it in his hand. However, when Qin Yu is about to continue talking, a misty sword aura unexpectedly shoots out from the writing brush and pierces Ida's arm directly, easily piercing through it. Who's sneak attacking? Ida, who is originally searching carefully, sees that Qin Yu is looking at that writing brush with an astonished expression. At the moment, various sword auras are still being emitted from that writing brush. Ida's eyes immediately become blazing and his whole body turns into a beam of light. He rushes towards the pen holder on the desk. The second floor is only so big, so the energy emitted by the sword aura naturally makes the experts discover it and become vigilant. However, only a few of them can react as fast as Ida Yanlang is one of them. Dame Yanji also comes to her senses. Boom! The 5 writing brushes in the pen holder explodes due to the competition among the experts. The 5 writing brushes are scattered all over the place. Ida grabs a writing brush. At the same time, a drop of his heart's blood falls on the writing brush. Various misty sword auras immediately flash. Afterwards, this writing brush directly fuses with Ida's body. At the same time, the other experts also start to fight over the brushes. Yanlang and Dame Yanji, who are quick to react, also snatch a writing brush each. Afterwards, old Taoist Gon Su and Hua Kan, relying on their own power, also snatch a writing brush. Including Qin Yu's writing brush at the beginning, there are 6 writing brushes in total. The various experts immediately bind the brushes with their blood. The moment they do so, even Yanlang exclaims in admiration. They're unexpectedly middle-grade immortal weapons. Moreover, they even contain swift and fierce sword auras. These 6 writing brushes are unexpectedly middle-grade immortal weapons. Dame Yanji also becomes ecstatic. Oh, I thought the writing brushes were transformed from 6 immortal swords, but only after I absorbed them into my body did I discover that the immortal weapons that can release such astonishing sword auras are actually writing brushes. Even though old Taoist Gon Su says so, there is still ecstasy on his face. Middle-grade immortal weapons. Very few 8th tribulation or 10th tribulation loose immortals in the chaotic astral ocean have middle-grade immortal weapons. Even in the immortal world, most golden immortals only use middle-grade immortal weapons. Therefore, it is easy to imagine how precious they are. Even Ide, when his arm was pierced by sword aura in the beginning, thought that the other writing brushes were also immortal swords. Who would have thought that only after he absorbed them into his body did he discover that the true form of these immortal weapons is writing brushes? But, in terms of offense, they even surpass ordinary middle-grade immortal swords. If my guess is correct, in those days immortal Emperor Ni Yong forged 6 writing brushes and often used them to paint and write. Naturally, the sword aura in his body was also poured into these writing brushes. Only because of this did the 6 writing brushes surpass ordinary middle-grade immortal swords in power. Dame Yanji speculates. Old Taoist Gon Su says in astonishment. Could it be? Immortal Emperor Ni Yong is a legendary sword immortal who has already gone extinct on the Tenglong continent. Sword immortals are extremely powerful in offense, but they have already lost their successors 1 million years ago on the Tenglong continent. The loose immortals and loose devils of various major powers can only learn about sword immortals from some ancient books in their schools. Yenmo, what are you doing? Dame Yanji suddenly discovers that Yenmo is unexpectedly collecting an inkwash painting on the wall. There are several tens inkwash paintings hanging on the walls of this second floor. Everybody thinks that they should be used to decorate this room, but not only Yenmo, even Qin Yu is also collecting an inkwash painting on the west wall. Dame Yen-ji only takes a glance at it to discover that these two inkwash paintings have something in common. There is a very small image of an immortal sword at the bottom of each of the two inkwash paintings. There's another one. There are many inkwash paintings hanging on the walls, but Dame Yen-ji has discovered a third one that also has a small image of an immortal sword at the bottom. Her whole body turns into a beam of light and takes that inkwash painting directly into her bosom as if she is robbing someone. They, old Taoist Gonsu, Huacan and the others feel baffled. After collecting the inkwash paintings, Qin Yu, Yenimo and Dame Yen-ji all pause for a moment. In a short while they come to their senses. There is an uncontrollable ecstasy on their faces. Even with Yenmo's self-control and Dame Yen-ji's status, at the moment they are so excited that their whole bodies are trembling. Their faces are even flushed with excitement. Chapter 216. Haha. Congratulations on obtaining the Heaven Sundering diagram. There are a total of 3 Heaven Sundering diagrams. It can be considered as the top immortal treasure on the second floor of the treasure pavilion. As for why this Heaven Sundering diagram is so precious, I Yang will explain it to you in detail. I Yang am famous for my ultimate skill, Heaven Sundering sword art. These 3 diagrams each contain 3 sword arts. Of course, this must be practiced by a sword immortal to have the greatest power. The effect of practicing by an ordinary immortal is mediocre. Immortal Emperor Yang's voice echoed in Qin Yu's mind. Heaven Sundering sword art. I'm not a sword immortal. Even if practicing it can increase my attack power, it won't be too obvious. To me, it's of little value. Qin Yu was slightly disappointed. Immortal Emperor Yang continued. This Heaven Sundering diagram contains 4 great benefits. Just now was the first benefit. Hearing this, the slightly disappointed Qin Yu immediately became excited again. Heavens, this is only the first benefit. There are still 3 more. The second benefit is that this Heaven Sundering diagram contains Heaven Sundering sword chi, which automatically protects its owner. Those below the level of a heavenly immortal or heavenly demon can't hurt you. Even if they want to hurt you, they have to be attacked by the sword chi. Qin Yu was delighted. Heaven Sundering sword chi protecting the body, this is a very good effect. The third benefit is that if these 3 Heaven Sundering diagrams are combined, it will show a map that leads to Yang's realm. Speaking of this, Immortal Emperor Yang paused. Qin Yu was puzzled. What kind of place is Yang's realm? Yang have been in the immortal world for hundreds of millions of years. Whether it's the demon world, devil world, or immortal world, my strength is definitely ranked in the top few. I once occupied countless cultivation planets, and the treasures of heaven and earth have reached a shocking level. Immortal Emperor Yang didn't explain what kind of place Yang's realm was, but instead started to boast about himself. This Yang's realm hides a large amount of treasures. If Qingyu Immortal Mansion was casually built by me, then Yang's realm was built by me after spending tens of thousands of years and collecting countless treasures. Its value is more than 1,000 times more than Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Qin Yu understood. The Qingyu Immortal Mansion was just something that Immortal Emperor Yang casually made, and Yang's realm was something that Immortal Emperor Yang spent countless treasures and a great deal of effort to build. Within Yang's realm, there are all kinds of precious treasures, all kinds of powerful formations, all kinds of rare materials, and even some formations that I have never displayed before, as well as, haha, let's not talk about it anymore. In short, most of the treasures that I, Immortal Emperor Yang, used to roam the immortal realm unhindered for hundreds of millions of years, are in this Yang's realm. Moreover, there is still a treasure hidden within the Yang realm. The value of this treasure even surpasses all the other treasures of the Yang realm combined. Speaking of this, even Immortal Emperor Yang became excited. Qin Yu didn't even dare to breathe. He was completely shocked. A level 8 mystic immortal, who was also a sword immortal super immortal emperor, a pinnacle expert with great authority in the immortal world. However, he had hidden most of his treasures within the Enai Yang realm. Furthermore, according to what Immortal Emperor Enai Yang had said, there was one treasure among them that was more precious than all the other treasures combined. Haha, this heaven-sundering diagram has a fourth benefit. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang said again. At this moment, Qin Yu only knew to listen. He was already completely shocked. If it was said that the Qingyu Immortal Mansion was already a top-notch treasure in the mortal realm, then the Enai Yang realm, even in the immortal realm and the devil realm, was a treasure that would make immortal emperor experts go crazy. The Enai Yang realm was definitely 10,000 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Junior, not everyone can enter the Enai Yang realm. Even if you have the map, you may not be able to enter. If you want to enter, you also need to have the qualifications. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang said again. Qin Yu held his breath and listened carefully. Those who possess the heaven-sundering diagram have the qualifications to enter. Those who possess the heaven-sundering diagram, when they reach the Enai Yang realm, control the heaven-sundering sword qi to cover an area. Within the area, there can be at most 5 people hidden. Including the possessor of the heaven-sundering diagram, there will be a total of 6 people. When these 6 people reach the Enai Yang realm, they will automatically be sucked in. As for the others, even if they reach the outside of the Enai Yang realm, they will not be able to enter, even if he is a profound immortal emperor. Immortal Emperor Enai Yang appeared to be very confident. The Enai Yang realm was tantamount to Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's old nest. Given his power, how could other immortal emperors possibly enter it without his permission? Possessing a heaven-sundering diagram is tantamount to having the qualifications to enter the Enai Yang realm himself and his 5 subordinates. In other words, 18 people can enter the Enai Yang realm with 3 heaven-sundering diagrams added together. Junior, let me give you a piece of advice. Practice a lot and increase your power a bit before going in. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die. Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's voice disappeared. Qin Yu, Dame Yanji and Yen Mo all came back to their senses. The 3 of them exchanged a look, but all of them could not help remaining silent. The existence of the heaven-sundering diagram was really too shocking. They believed that, once this news spread, the wilderness, the chaotic astral ocean and even the Tinglong continent would all go crazy. Given their power, they simply would not be able to keep this treasure. Dame Yanji, what kind of treasure is that inkwash painting? Can you tell me about it? Old Taoist Gon Su looks at Dame Yanji and says smilingly. But that hint of expectation in his eyes has exposed his purpose at the moment. Dame Yanji says indifferently. It's only an immortal weapon. Hua Kan, however, looks at Qin Yu and says smilingly. Little brother Qin Yu, can you tell us what kind of immortal weapon that inkwash painting is? So that we can broaden our horizons. Just now Old Taoist Gon Su, Hua Kan, Ida, Yen Lang and the others all saw how excited Dame Yanji and the others were to the point of trembling. It should be known that even when Dame Yanji obtained that middle-grade immortal writing brush, she did not lose her composure like that. What kind of treasure is it that is worth it? Nobody believes that it is a simple immortal weapon. Hearing Hua Kan ask him, Qin Yu says with an indifferent smile, Since you've asked me, Senior Hua Kan, I'll naturally tell you. Immediately, both Dame Yanji and Qin Yu look at him, their eyes radiating fierceness. But the eyes of Old Taoist Gon Su, Hua Kan and the others brighten. This inkwash painting is actually a body-protecting immortal weapon. At the same time, it contains an extremely formidable practice method. Qin Yu says smilingly. Hearing Qin Yu say so, Dame Yanji and Yenmo both secretly let out a sigh of relief. Body-protecting immortal weapon. Old Taoist Gon Su and the others are shocked. Yes, with this inkwash painting, ordinary experts basically won't be able to harm the owner. At the same time, this inkwash painting contains an extremely formidable sword technique. This is Immortal Emperor Enai Yang's unique skill. Too bad. Only sword immortals can practice it and its power is great. The effect of us practicing it instead isn't great. Qin Yu says rather regretfully. Yen Mo and Dame Yen Ji both secretly curse Qin Yu for being cunning, but they also feel much more relaxed in their hearts. After all, Qin Yu has only mentioned the first two benefits of the heaven-sundering diagram. The most maddening and precious parts of the diagram are the last two benefits. The first is the map leading to Ni Yang's realm. The second is the qualification to enter Ni Yang's realm. Without the heaven-sundering diagram, even if one reaches the entrance of Ni Yang's realm and has power comparable to an immortal emperor, one will not be able to enter Ni Yang's realm. Dame Yen Ji also says with a sigh. Yes, the first effect of this inkwash painting is very good. Too bad it's the second effect. If I were a sword immortal, how good would that be? This is the most powerful sword technique for level 8 mystic immortals. On one side, Yen Mo also pretends to sigh with emotion. Even though old Taoist Gon Su and the others feel that something is not right, it is not good for them to ask. Qin Yu Yemo, let's make a trip to Ni Yang's realm together sometime later, okay? Dame Yen Ji asks in reply via holy sense communication. Yen Mo is still pondering, but Qin Yu refuses via holy sense communication. Dame Yen Ji, we've already encountered so many dangers after entering this Nine Swords immortal mansion. That Ni Yang's realm is immortal Emperor Ni Yang's lair, so it's definitely 10 times or 100 times more dangerous. With my power level, I'll definitely die if I go in. Qin Yu lets both Dame Yen Ji and Yen Mo hear him through holy sense communication. Yen Mo also says via holy sense communication, Brother Qin Yu's words are reasonable. Do you still remember Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's last words? Let me give you a word of advice. Practice a lot and raise your power a bit before going in. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die. I almost died in this Nine Swords immortal mansion. If I tried in vain to break into Ni Yang's realm with my little power, perhaps I wouldn't even know how I died. Dame Yen Ji also remembers Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's last words. Even though Immortal Emperor Ni Yang often deceives people, Dame Yen Ji does not dare to disregard his last words of advice. Power. Even if one has a map and is qualified to go in, without enough power, even if one enters the lair of this super immortal emperor, perhaps one's life will be over. Qin Yu Yen Mo. At that time Immortal Emperor Ni Yang once said that there's a unique treasure in this treasure-storing pavilion. It's more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. What do you think that treasure is? Dame Yen Ji says doubtfully via holy sense communication. In Dame Yen Ji's opinion, the heaven-sundering diagram is definitely more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. After all, Ni Yang's realm is a place where even the immortal emperors of the immortal world would go crazy. Unique. Yenmo thinks for a while, then says via holy sense communication. If we're talking about 10 times more precious, this heaven-sundering diagram, just the map leading to Ni Yang's realm and the qualification to go in, is already 10 times more valuable than an immortal mansion. But there are 3 heaven-sundering diagrams. It can't be considered unique. It can't be considered unique. But what is the most precious treasure Immortal Emperor Ni Yang mentioned at that time? Since that thing is the most precious, could it be even more precious than the heaven-sundering diagrams? Qin Yu has a flash of inspiration in his mind. He says via holy sense communication, I've thought of a possibility. These 3 heaven-sundering diagrams were originally a whole. First, the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are a map when combined. Second, the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are the complete heaven-sundering sword art. I think, in Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's eyes, the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are a whole. Perhaps he was talking about the heaven-sundering diagrams. That's possible. Also agrees. If there were only 3 heaven-sundering diagrams, we wouldn't even know the location of Ni Yang's realm. Therefore, these 3 heaven-sundering diagrams should be considered as a whole. That's the right understanding. In terms of preciousness, the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are naturally more than 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Dame Yen Ji cannot help giving a faint smile on her face. However, at this moment, old Taoist Gon Su Ida, Azure Dragon Yen Lang and Hua can continue to search carefully on the second floor. Yenmo, why are you still standing? Yen Lang frowns and looks at Yenmo. Immortal Emperor Nayang once said that the most precious treasure is unique. Until now, neither the holy beast collars, the 6 writing brushes nor the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are unique. So the last treasure must be hidden somewhere. Alright, I'll look for it right away. Yenmo gives a smile, then immediately pretends to look for it too. Dame Yenji is also a smart person. If she does not look for it, other people will definitely be suspicious. Therefore, she also starts to pretend to look for it. Qin Yu goes to the bookcase and starts to flip through those books. Oh, it seems some books don't belong to the mortal world. Qin Yu discovers that there are even jade slips inside some books. Obviously, books alone cannot record many things. After all, jade slips have a much larger capacity than books. There is quite a bit of knowledge about the immortal world and other worlds in these books. Qin Yu flips through these books, then immediately puts the ones he is interested in into his own spatial ring. When Qin Yu is flipping through the books and the others are flipping through other things. Lucky Juniors, you've already taken away all the treasures in the treasure storing tower. It's time for you to leave. Get ready, all of you. The restrictive spells inside the treasure storing tower will be activated immediately. You'll be teleported out of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion directly to that island with a very close teleportation formation. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice rises on the second floor of the treasure storing tower. Qin Yu, Dame Yenji and Yenmo are still somewhat prepared, but old Taoist Gonsu, Huacan and the others are all shocked. Senior Immortal Emperor Nayang, we haven't found the unique treasure you talked about yet. Why are we leaving? Old Taoist Gonsu says anxiously. Unfortunately, this voice is only a restrictive spell left behind by Immortal Emperor Nayang at that time, so it simply cannot answer. There is a flash in front of their eyes. Qin Yu looks at various golden trees. The ground is a green lawn. The scenery here is so familiar. Obviously, this is the Golden Tree Island with an ancient teleportation formation. Finally, they leave the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Little brother Qin Yu, leave your holy sense information. If there's anything we can communicate through your transmitter. Dame Yenji takes out a transmitter very amicably and gives it to Qin Yu. Qin Yu also takes out a transmitter. This trip to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion has resulted in countless casualties. From now on, the underwater Xiuyao world only has the Blue Dragon Temple and the Stellar Tower. Reverend Yen Su is also missing from the Penglai Immortal region. The Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon is also missing from Situ Shui and Zhao Jiu, 2 great experts. Even quite a few loose immortals and loose devils have died. Everybody says goodbye to each other. Immediately, Qin Yu and Li Er fly towards the Qianlong continent. Even though I haven't been in this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion for a long time, seeing this familiar ocean and breathing this familiar air gives me a feeling as if I've been away for ages. Qin Yu says emotionally to Li Er in the sky. Li Er suddenly makes a flip of her hand. 3 writing brushes appear in her hand. Li Er, these are. Qin Yu looks at those 3 writing brushes in shock. At first glance, he can tell that these 3 brushes are the same as the ones they fought over in the treasure storing tower. Li Er says laughingly, I was the first to enter the second floor, so how could I possibly be empty-handed? Course I took something casually. Didn't you swear? I only swore that I didn't take that unique treasure. I didn't say that I didn't take a writing brush. Li Er says complacently. However, there is a hint of coquettishness in her tone. At the moment, Qin Yu does not know whether to laugh or cry. There were originally 9 middle-grade immortal writing brushes, which happened to be distributed to everybody. Who could have thought that Li Er secretly took away 3 brushes at the beginning, leading to a fight over them? Suddenly, the black ring on Qin Yu's finger radiates various misty rays of light. Lucky Junior, congratulations. You've got the most precious treasure of the unique treasure storing tower. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's slightly smiling voice is so pleasant to the ears in Qin Yu's mind. Chapter 217. Big Brother Qin, what happened to you? Seeing Qin current appearance, Li Er can't help asking anxiously and concernedly. Qin stretches out his hand to stop Li Er, because at this moment Immortal Emperor Yang is telling Qin in his mind about this so-called unique and most precious treasure of the treasure pavilion. Junior, you're really lucky. When I left the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion at the bottom of the chaotic astral ocean, I once thought about whether to leave this Lord of Black Flame ring behind. After all, the difficulty level I set, you're not qualified to get this Lord of Black Flame ring. Immortal Emperor Yang slowly says. Qin helplessly smiles bitterly in his heart. The hallucinatory magic land, the road to the underworld. Is this not dangerous enough? Especially the road to the underworld. Even if one's power is high, one will still die if one makes the wrong choice. So dangerous. This Immortal Emperor Yang actually thinks that this level of danger is not enough to get this Lord of Black Flame ring. However, Qin finally knows that this ring is called the Lord of Black Flame ring. But then I thought about it, luck is very important, so I put the Lord of Black Flame ring on the finger of my sculpture back. Ordinary people want to directly rush into the treasure pavilion to seize the immortal treasures. Being able to notice that ring shows that your luck is really good. Immortal Emperor Yang says with a smile. Qin feels a bit strange. This Immortal Emperor Yang seems to attach great importance to luck. The ring of the Lord of Black Flame is also an extremely precious treasure in the immortal world. This is the ring that I wore when I roamed the world. This ring itself was made by my good friend, an expert of the same level as me, Lord of Black Flame, so it is called Ring of the Lord of Black Flame. Immortal Emperor Yang explained the origin of this ring. Qin silently remembers the name Lord of Black Flame ring in his heart. Since he's an expert of the same level as Immortal Emperor Yang, he must be a peak expert who can summon the wind and summon the rain. Storage-type immortal items are relatively difficult to make. This Lord of Black Flame ring is a high-grade immortal item, but in terms of preciousness, it even surpasses ordinary best-grade immortal items. Of course, the Lord of Black Flame's ring is a storage-type immortal item, so its attack power is not strong. But it has two auxiliary functions, both of which are Lord of Black Flame's consummate skills. Listening to the tone of Immortal Emperor Yang, it was obvious that he admired Lord of Black Flame's consummate skills. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has a storage space. At the same time, it had two auxiliary functions. One was the heavenly fire domain. The Lord of Black Flame was good at using flames. Originally, if a powerful person used the Lord of Black Flame's ring, they could use flames even more powerful than the heavenly fire. But generally, heaven immortals and those below the heaven immortal realm can only trigger the heaven flame stored in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. The stronger their cultivation base, the more heaven flame they can trigger. Qin was overjoyed. Kaifar. This was a flame that even celestial immortals had to be careful of. The second function was the gravitational domain. If the Lord of Black Flame used the gravitational domain, he could even cause level 4 or 5 mystic immortals within the range of the gravitational domain to collapse because of the terrifying gravity. Immortal Emperor Yang sighed. Of course, the gravitational domain, attached to the Lord of Black Flame's ring, is only a formation set up by the Lord of Black Flame. As long as you input your energy into it, you can create the gravitational domain. The higher your cultivation base, the greater the gravity. As for the owner of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, of course, he would not be affected by the gravitational domain. The two functions were the heavenly fire domain and the gravitational domain. Qin sighed in amazement. Heavens, what kind of expert was that Lord of Black Flame? Just by relying on the gravitational domain, he could cause level 4 or 5 mystic immortals to collapse, and even cause Yuanying to collapse because of the terrifying gravity. Alright, just now I was talking about some of the benefits of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, and I also left a map, Heaven Sundering Sword Chi, and a sentence inside. This map is the map that leads to Ni Yang's realm. Heaven Sundering Sword Chi. When you arrive at Ni Yang's realm, use the Heaven Sundering Sword Chi to cover an area, and you can cover your people inside. At that time, Ni Yang's realm will automatically suck you in. Course. You can bring a maximum of 8 people including yourself, that's 9 people. Qin Yu's heart shook. This Lord of Black Flame's ring, wasn't it just the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams added together? Only when all the diagrams were added together would a map appear, and every diagram could bring 6 people, including the owner, in. Not only did the Lord of Black Flame's ring have a complete map to Ni Yang's realm, it also had the heaven-sundering sword Qi, which could bring 9 people, including the owner. In addition to the 2 great domains of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, as well as a high-grade immortal storage immortal tool. In terms of preciousness, even the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams added together couldn't compare. No wonder it was said that there was a unique, most precious immortal tool. At that time, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said that this immortal tool was in the treasure-storing pavilion of the inner hall, but he didn't say whether it was inside the treasure-storing pavilion or at its entrance. Even when they were in the treasure-storing pavilion, Qin Yu, Dame Yen Ji and Yen Mo still thought that the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams were the treasures mentioned by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Qin Yu suddenly became curious in his heart. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said that he left a map, heaven-sundering sword Qi, and a sentence in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. What was that sentence? As for that sentence, it's a sentence I left for you. Junior. I really hope that the person who obtains the Lord of Black Flame's ring can obtain that treasure in Ni Yang's realm. Of course I won't give you any hints. Everything will have to depend on your own efforts. Alright Junior, work hard. I hope you can do even better than me in the future. I, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, used my heaven-sundering sword Qi to move unhindered in the 3 realms. Who would have thought that I would actually fall for that? Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice disappeared. After leaving the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, some kind of restriction on the Lord of Black Flame's ring should have been removed. At the moment, the true face of the Lord of Black Flame's ring has been completely revealed. Qin Yu uses his holy sense to search the inside of the Lord of Black Flame's ring and discovers that there is only a map and a piece of paper inside it. On that piece of paper is a sentence left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Junior, as your reward for obtaining the Lord of Black Flame's ring, I'll tell you one thing. Anyone whose power level is lower than that of a Deshang stage Xiaoxianist will definitely die. The last sentence causes Qin Yu's back to break out in cold sweat. Anyone whose power level is lower than that of a Deshang stage Xiaoxianist will definitely die. Qin Yu believes that no matter how good this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang is at deceiving people, it is impossible for him to carelessly say the most important sentence he left behind for him. Moreover, he also has a feeling that Ni Yang's realm is definitely not a place that ordinary people can set foot in. The power level of a Deshang stage Xiaoxianist is the lowest threshold to enter Ni Yang's realm. Big brother Qin Yu, look at how happy your face is. What exactly is the good news? Lier said with a smile. Qin Yu recovered from the joy of obtaining the Lord of Black Flame's ring, and looked at Lier who was beside him. Lier, do you still remember that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had once said that the treasure pavilion has a unique and most precious treasure? You're saying, it's this ring? Lier said in astonishment. Yes, it's this ring. This ring is called the Lord of Black Flame's ring. It's a high-grade immortal storage immortal tool. Moreover, it has 2 special functions. One is the heavenly fire domain, and the other is the gravity domain. Do you still remember the ink wash painting that I obtained at that time? Of course I remember. What's so special about that ink wash painting? Qin Yu and Lier were flying high in the sky as they chatted. Qin Yu told Lier that the ink wash painting was the heaven-sundering diagram and the information it contained. He even told Lier about the Lord of Black Flame's ring. This is the heavenly fire domain. Qin Yu used the heavenly fire domain with all his strength. Only his upper body was covered with a thin layer of heavenly fire. Between the heavenly fire and Qin Yu's body, there was a layer of invisible membrane. It should be the magical power that was displayed by the Lord of Black Flame's ring. However, it only covered his upper body, and it was only a thin layer. Could this still be called a domain? Big Brother Chinyu, your power is really too weak. Even if a Deshang stage expert used the heavenly fire domain of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, I estimate that it has at least a range of 2 to 3 meters. Li Er pondered for a moment and said, Chinyu could only smile helplessly. It seems that when I go back this time I'll have to refine that yuanying and train properly. Chinyu obtained that second tribulation loose immortal's yuanying. Moreover, after his trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, Chinyu's soul has become even more solid and has now reached the late Kongming stage. Chinyu could calmly refine this yuanying completely. Big Brother Chinyu, try the gravitational domain again. Li Er reminded. This gravitational domain is related to the user's power. The stronger the power, the greater the gravitational force of the gravitational domain. Okay, I'll try. In fact, Chinyu liked this gravitational domain even more. Although the heavenly fire domain is very good, in Chinyu's opinion, when used in a real battle, the gravitational domain will have an unexpected effect. For example, when two experts are fighting, when Chinyu rushes to the opponent's side and the opponent is about to counterattack, a terrifying gravitational force suddenly presses down on him. Even if the gravitational force cannot kill him, just the binding effect of the gravitational force alone can greatly reduce the opponent's speed and combat power. Especially when used unexpectedly, the opponent does not know at the beginning. When used in a moment of life and death, the effect is even better. Chinyu poured his power into the Lord of Black Flame's ring. In fact, the Lord of Black Flame's ring does not absorb a lot of power. The magnitude of the gravitational force is related to the purity of the power. The range of the gravitational domain is related to the amount of power poured in. Big Brother Chinyu, why are you standing there like a fool? Li Er said with a smile. I've already used this gravitational domain. I'm not very sure how powerful it is. Chinyu said helplessly. After all, he is a caster. He cannot feel the gravitational domain. Li Er smiled. That's not easy. I'll just come in. Li Er, who was originally some distance away from Chinyu, immediately came closer. Chinyu hurriedly retreated. How can you do this? Li Er, if your body can't take it. It's okay. Li Er interrupted Chinyu's words. I have a protective magic treasure. I definitely can't take any injuries. Moreover, the gravitational domain can't kill an expert of the same level. Didn't you just tell me that the Lord of Black Flame can only kill a level 4 or 5 mystic immortal? The Lord of Black Flame himself is at the same level as a level 8 mystic immortal, Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. Therefore, for this gravitational domain, firstly, I have a protective magic treasure. You can't hurt me. Secondly, it won't be too powerful. Hearing Li Er's persuasion, Chinyu thought that it made sense. In that case, be careful, said Chinyu. He then had Li Er approach him. Li Er smiled and stepped into the gravitational domain. This time, Chinyu used the gravitational domain. With Chinyu as the center, the gravitational domain was a circular area with a radius of 3 meters. The moment Li Er stepped into the gravitational domain, her body sank. Immediately, ripples appeared on the surface of her body. Chinyu knew that those ripples were caused by Li Er's protective magic treasure. Chinyu immediately withdrew the gravitational domain. Li Er said with a face full of smiles, Brother Chinyu, this gravitational domain's power is not small. I estimate that it has at least several million gene of pressure. A Jin Dan stage expert will definitely die. Even a Yuanying stage expert will not be far from death if suddenly attacked. Even a Dongshu stage expert will probably be injured. Chinyu smiled and nodded. He was very satisfied with the effect of the gravitational domain. The sudden appearance of several million gene of gravity was enough to injure a Dongshu stage expert. Even a Kongming stage expert would be caught unprepared. What Chinyu wanted was precisely to be caught unprepared. In a life-and-death battle, this gravitational domain represented an opportunity to win. However, this gravitational domain must be kept a secret. If the enemy knew about it and was prepared in advance, it would definitely be less effective than if the enemy was not prepared. Times after flying for some time, Qin Yu and Li Er finally arrived at the Qianlong continent. Qin Yu simply does not know that ever since the Qin clan was overseen by the Stellar Towers experts and gained an absolute advantage in terms of Shangxian-level experts, the Qin dynasty began to invade the Ming dynasty. The Qin dynasty's military power has also been demonstrated beyond doubt. Oh, it's the Qin family's army down there. Father and the others seem to be in the camp too. With a sweep of his holy sense, Qin Yu found Qin De's aura. He naturally felt strange. Even if it was a war, why did his father need to get involved? Li Er, let's go down. Qin Yu and Li Er directly swooped down from the ninth heaven. As they approached the ground, they saw the two valiant cavalry units in training constantly sprinting. A murderous aura emanated from every soldier. The murderous aura of one person was nothing. But the aura of more than 10,000 cavalrymen was also like this, which made them seem very valiant. Qin Yu and Li Er moved as fast as lightning and landed on the ground in a flash. The cavalrymen did not notice that someone was flying down from the sky. Qin Yu also chose a place to land. It was close to the commander-in-chief's tent. Lord Yu, the general of this army, Wang Song, was shocked when he saw Qin Yu. He immediately knelt down on one knee. As a high-ranking figure in the Qin dynasty's military department, he knew very well how much power Prince Yu had. He knew that there were more than 10,000 upper immortals in the capital city back then, so he knew that. General Wang Song, don't make such a big fuss. I just want to see my father. Qin Yu nodded with a smile. The retired emperor and the others also came to the front line yesterday to take a look. I'll take you to his residence. General Wang Song regained his majesty and led the way in front in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Qin Yu and Li Er walked toward Qin De's residence. Chapter 218. The place where the army is stationed is a plain. Course, there are only tents here. Qin De, Fenjuzi and Su Yuan are leisurely walking north and south of the river. This time they are also on a whim, so they have decided to take a stroll around the front line. Su Yuan, my army has been stationed here for half a month now, but we simply haven't been able to take down Cheshu City. Tell me, is there any way to take down this city? Qin De points to a city in the distance and asks casually. Qin De is also asking casually. After all, the matter of taking down the city has little to do with him. Su Yuan strokes his beard and ponders for a while, then says smilingly, "Retired emperor to take down Cheshu City. Seeing that General Wang Song hasn't been able to take down the city for so long, I think the only way now is to lure the enemy out. As for how to lure the enemy, it depends on the temperament of the enemy's commanding general. But maybe there are other ways. This depends on the information. I don't know the information about Cheshu City, so I can't make a reasonable judgment." Fenjiuzi suddenly says, "Brother Qin, it seems that senior Uncle Lon said Xiao Yu will come back in a few days." "Yes, he should come back in a few days." Qin De says with a nod, then immediately says with a sigh, "Immortal mansion, that's an immortal's mansion. How can it not be safe? Now I'm really a little worried about you." But Qin De also knows that on the path of Xiuzhen, it is almost impossible to be safe in everything. Xiao Yu will definitely come back safely. Don't worry, retired emperor. Su Yuan persuades. Qin De nods. Immediately the three of them take out a chessboard from their storage bracelets and start to play a big game. Father, Uncle Feng, Uncle Su. Qin Yu's voice rises. Qin De, Fenjuzi and Su Yuan all turn their heads to look. They see Qin Yu and Li Er very happily walking over side by side. General Wang Song slightly bows, then immediately leaves with a smile. Qin De says with great joy, Qin Yu and Li Er went to explore Immortal Mansion. Qin De was very worried in his heart. Now seeing Qin Yu come back safely, he is very excited. This is great. You finally come back safely. But, That Miss Lear's uncle was really right. Qin Yu gasps in admiration. What did Uncle Lon say? Qin Yu was puzzled. Little Yu, that Uncle Lon of yours mentioned the approximate date of your return. You should be back in the next few days. Just now we were talking about you. Who would have thought that you would really appear? Fenjuzi said with a smile. Qin suddenly frowned and said, don't you have two brothers? One is called Ho Fei, and the other is called Kuro. Yes, Imperial Father. Qin Yu suddenly asked in confusion. Imperial Father, did something happen to Fei and Xiao Hei? No, I didn't. Qin hurriedly says, then immediately says with a smile. Not long after you left the Qianlong continent, your Uncle Lon took your two brothers away, saying that they were going to a mysterious place to undergo special training. Qin Yu was stunned. A mysterious place. Special training. Only Uncle Lon took Fei and Xiao Hei? Qin Yu asked. Yes, your Uncle Lon asked me to tell you that after you come back, you don't have to hurry to find Ho Fei and Kuro. It will take them a long time to come back. I estimate that this training will take 2 or 3 years. Qin said with a smile. A mysterious place, special training. Qin Yu frowned and looked at Li'er. Li'er also had a puzzled look on her face. Big brother Qin Yu, I also don't know what mysterious place it is. Li'er really couldn't think of where Uncle Lon took Ho Fei and Kuro. After thinking for a while, Qin Yu said with a smile. Forget it. Since Uncle Lon said so, I don't need to worry about it. Fei and Xiao Hei are not weaker than me. They went to that mysterious place to undergo special training. I don't know what realm they will have reached when they come back. Father, I'm going to go back to Lei Mountain House to undergo closed-door training. I estimate that this closed-door training will take about a month. Qin Yu said solemnly. During the trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu has already discovered very clearly how weak he is. The so-called Third Tribulation loose immortals and Fourth Tribulation loose devils are. Perhaps they are only the tip of the iceberg on the Tenglong continent. After all, this time the experts there didn't pay too much attention to this so-called immortal mansion. Before going in, who knew how extraordinary this immortal mansion was? Treasures are crimes. Although other people don't know that I have 4 middle-grade immortal weapons and only 1 middle-grade immortal weapon, perhaps some 6th Tribulation or 7th Tribulation experts will come to make trouble for me. Even though he has returned safely, Qin Yu has not relaxed at all. However, even if they want to make trouble for me, I'll have to see if they have the ability to do so. Qin Yu is very confident. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has the field of heavenly fire and the field of gravity. Now Qin Yu has a middle-grade immortal weapon and an ice-devouring lightning talisman given to him by Li'er. If he is careful, he can even put up a fight against a celestial immortal. Of course, it will be even better if Qin Yu completely absorbs the energy of a second tribulation loose immortal, Yuanying. Or you can go into closed-door training at ease. Absolutely nobody will disturb you, Qin said immediately. Qin says at once. He also knows what kind of world Qin Yu lives in and what level of experts he knows. What Qin Yu needs the most is to increase his power. In the capital of the Qin dynasty, outside Lei Mountain House in Prince Yu's mansion, Brother Qin Yu, you can go into closed-door training at ease, Li'er says with a smile. Qin Yu, however, is not at ease. He tells her, Li'er, if some powerful experts come and try to snatch that middle-grade immortal weapon or that inkwash painting, don't resist them. Don't try to stop them. Just hand over his brush and ink painting to them. With that, an inkwash painting and a brush appear in Qin Yu's hand. Brother Qin Yu, what are you? Li'er opens her eyes wide. Haha, Li'er. Don't tell me you don't know that map is hidden in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. This heaven-sundering diagram is not very useful to me. To be honest, it's not worth it for me to fight some experts until I bleed. As for this brush, even though it can turn into an immortal sword and its power is not small, but, Li'er, you gave me 3 brushes. Plus the one I have, losing 1 brush is nothing. What's important is my family and, you. Qin Yu gazes into Li'er's eyes. I don't want you to be in any danger. Li Er is moved. She is so moved that Li Er wants to tell the secret in her heart. However, when it is at the tip of her tongue, Li Er still does not say it. Because Li Er knows that it is better not to tell Qin Yu this secret. Brother Qin Yu, thank you. Qin Yu reaches out his hands and embraces Li Er. After parting ways with Li Er, Qin Yu goes straight into the practice room in Lei Mountain House and sits down quietly with legs crossed. A second tribulation loose immortal's yuanying is almost as good as a middle or late Dujia expert's yuanying. It should be enough for me to reach the late planet stage. Qin Yu takes out the second tribulation loose immortal's yuanying directly from the Lord of Black Flame's ring. Most of Qin Yu's treasures are now in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. When Dame Yanji was fighting with others in the main hall of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, in the end she did not find out why the yuanying disappeared. The stellar transformations technique is now divided into 6 levels: Nebula, Lu Xing, Star Core, Planet, Tribulation and Star stages. Each stage is a transformation and one's power will increase by leaps and bounds. However, Qin Yu has only just entered the Star Core stage. He closes his eyes. Misty rays of light appear around Qin Yu. They rotate like clouds. In the center of these cloud vortexes is Qin Yu, who is radiating golden light. The second tribulation loose immortal's yuanying also turns into various liquids and starts to rotate around Qin Yu's body. I'm really looking forward to seeing how powerful I'll become after entering that stage. Qin Yu cannot help giving a faint smile on the corners of his mouth. On the Tinglong continent, there are so many Xiaotianists that there are even over 100 million. However, the Qingshu Temple, which only has several tens of thousands of disciples, is the #1 Xiaoxianist school on the Tinglong continent. However, the Qingshu Temple deserves to be called the #1 Xiaoxianist school because it really has too many experts. Various palaces have been built on Mount Qingshu. At the gate of the palaces outside the Qingshu Temple, several disciples are carefully sweeping the ground. These disciples have just been accepted into the Qingshu Temple and are of the lowest generation. They have not even reached the Jindan stage yet. Hey, senior brother, when will master teach us Shojin techniques? A 7 or 8-year-old thin boy with delicate features asks another boy of similar age beside him. Don't worry, junior brother. Being able to enter the Qingshu Temple is already a great fortune for us. We've only been here for a few days. As far as I know, after entering the Qingshu Temple, we won't be taught any techniques for the first month. Only afterwards will we be taught simple foundational techniques. In the first 3 years, you won't be able to practice any high-level techniques. This senior brother seems to know everything very well. The thin boy's big black eyes are filled with disappointment. 3 years? What do you know? Which disciple of the Qingshu Temple isn't an expert? Even though we only have several tens of thousands of disciples and can't compare to the several hundreds of thousands of disciples of the Lanyang School and the Xiang School, our Qingshu Temple is still the #1 school on the Tinglong continent. Why is that? It's not only because of the techniques, but also because of the system. The 3 years we have to lay our foundations are used to train our temperaments. This temperament is very important to practice. The senior brother speaks frankly with assurance. Senior brother, you're so formidable. The thin boy's eyes brighten. Of course. Not only am I formidable, but my cousin is even more formidable. My cousin entered the Qingshu Temple 5 years ago. Now he's reached the Jindan stage and has even been trained as an elite disciple. This senior brother says with his head held high. Don't talk. Someone's coming. This senior brother says at once. At the moment, old Taoist Gonsu is hurrying back on his immortal sword. At the same time, he has already informed the various elders and experts of the School of the News through his transmitter. Fellow Taoist, this place belongs to the Qingshu Temple. Outsiders are not allowed to enter without permission. This senior brother takes a step forward and says in high spirits. At the moment, he is very proud because he can finally speak with the name of the Qingshu Temple. The expression on old Taoist Gonsu's face freezes. At the gate of his own home, He is blocked by a junior. However, at this moment a series of footsteps are heard. Several 10 Xiaxianists, who are dressed in Taoist robes and have long beards and immortal-like demeanors, walk out quickly. These several 10s experts are none other than the Gon and Fan generation experts of the Qingshu Temple. Abbot! As soon as those 2 little boys see the leader, they are shocked and immediately stand aside. Uncle Master, this time you took risks for the sake of the Qingshu Temple and returned with a treasure. The leader is none other than Fan Ming, an expert of the Fan generation and the current abbot of the Qingshu Temple. This abbot is not a formidable expert. He has only just overcome the 9 from 9 to heaven tribulation. Abbot's Uncle Master. The 2 boys are stupefied. Fan Ming say no more. This time junior brothers Gon Ming and Gon Shan, as well as that Yen Su, have all perished. I was lucky to be able to come back this time. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to see me. At the moment, old Taoist Gon Su still has lingering fear when he recalls his trip to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Now he feels uncomfortable when he hears Fan Ming's flattery. The faces of those several 10s people all change color. Junior brother Gon Su, junior brothers Gon Ming and Gon Shan are both dead. A loose immortal with fluttering white hair says in a slightly anxious manner, "Yes, everybody, let's go back and talk. This place isn't a good place to talk." Old Taoist Gon Su says at once. These several 10s people then walk straight towards the main hall of the Qingshu Temple. 2 loose immortals of the Qingshu Temple have died in a short while. This is an extraordinary event. In the main hall, old Taoist Gon Su tells the story completely. Those disciples of the same generation or a generation lower than him all tremble in their hearts as they listen. The appearance of Dame Yen Ji, those 3 great experts of the Dragon Clan and the road to hell are all very shocking. Uncle Master, this immortal mansion unexpectedly belongs to an immortal emperor. This is really too shocking. Immortal Emperor Naiyang, if I had known earlier that this immortal mansion was left behind by him, I would have asked the seniors of Heavenly Palace to get into action. Abbot Fan Ming says with a sigh. After hearing this story, everybody is shocked by the frightening elemental holy or in the Qingyu immortal mansion. They also feel their hearts palpitate because of this immortal Emperor Naiyang's capricious mood swings. After entering the immortal mansion, an immortal emperor's hints are half right and half wrong. This is absolutely fatal. For example, Immortal Emperor Naiyang said that the Peach Blossom Spring was very safe, so Reverend Shui Ro and the other experts chose it. But in fact the Peach Blossom Spring is a land of death. As soon as you enter it you will die. There is no chance of survival at all. Phew! A gust of wind blows. All the experts in the main hall look towards the entrance. They see a thin old man with fluttering white hair standing at the entrance of the main hall. Uncle Master Huan Xian. Old Taoist Gon Su and the other experts of the Gon generation say in shock. They all know that this Uncle Master Huan Xian is an expert in the most important place of the Qingshu Temple, the Heavenly Palace. Unless something major happens, the people of the Heavenly Palace will not come out. Even the abbot cannot enter the Heavenly Palace at will. According to legend, the Heavenly Palace can connect to the immortal world. Gon Su, just now you said Immortal Emperor Naiyang? Loose Immortal Huan Xian confirms again with a face full of impatience. Yes, the master of that immortal mansion is none other than Immortal Emperor Naiyang. What's the matter? Old Taoist Gon Su says doubtfully. Huan Xian says excitedly. Good, this is really very good. Immortal Emperor Naiyang, it really is Immortal Emperor Naiyang. This is great. He is extremely excited. He then says at once, Gon Su, follow me to the Heavenly Palace now. My Uncle Master wants to see you. Old Taoist Gon Su feels his heart stop beating at once. Huan Xian's Uncle Master wants to see him. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.